Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Guild Wars 2 and the beginning of the new era of streaming in a nice, big, echoey space with terrible visuals. For those of you who are not up to date, I am in the temporary housing right now, which is so generously being donated by him. I never know what to call him. He's awesome. He's my sister's father. Call him that. And I was just sitting down. I've been having trouble staying hydrated lately. And so I sat down. I was going to get a nice big... I've got this nice temporary mug, right? Nice pink mug. It's really cool. Usually I prefer these to be cold, but I thought just this morning, I'm good with no ice. Today we're covering Guild Wars 2, the last of the big three, and the beginning of the new era of streaming, like I just mentioned. It's not just the fact that we're in a temporary setup here. It's the fact that this is now the first time ever we've been caught up in the queue, because we are. We are, as of this exact moment in time, caught up in the queue. Technically speaking, there is one game in the queue, and that's Final Fantasy V. And you're probably thinking, well, but Trihexia just gave the list a bit earlier and said, here's the new thing, and you can check the upcoming page. There's tons of games on it. Yeah, those are all picked by me. For the first time ever, I have actually successfully pushed Dealer's Choice onto Dealer's Choice. Now, there's a couple of asterisks there. I put a lot of thought into the specific order we're going to do those games and what types of games. That's a mix of games I want to try out and see how good they are versus games that I think are actually pretty good and are worth watching. But yeah, all that's Dealer's Choice. There will be more Dealer's Choice in the future. But in the meantime, I do want to say shoutouts and thank you to Pillars of Snow and Melkor Blade for your subs. I got that down for Sonic Adventure DX, Jedi Fallen Order, Jedi Survivor, Trails in the Skyblock, Rayman Legends, and FF7R2. I also want to say shoutouts and thank you to people who did fund Guild Wars 2, which include, but are not limited to, Mana Brent, Archeon Vale, Badeau, Bragwin, Dark Anima, Dream Whisperer, Enmelk, Frieza, Gigapudding, E-Tree, Colgrim, Magister of Quel'Thalas, Mr. Red, Nordame, Fife, Primarch the Mage, Ramble, Retro Justice, Shenizaga, Ciela, Turjak Catalan, The Warcraft Code, Wraith, Zero Hunter, Riker's Beard, Oculus, and our majority shareholder, Valerian Wraithwall. Thank you, all of you, very much. Oh, and sorry, Monobrent was the one who put this on the list. Thank you, all of you, very, very much for keeping the lights on and for supporting the show. Let's talk Guild Wars 2, shall we? Oh, for Christ's sakes. So there we are. It's like year 2000, right? And there's this company that's getting put together by three people whose names are, I'll tell you in just a second. It's called ArenaNet. ArenaNet was founded by three ex-Blizzard developers. And I know what you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's such pedigree. Let's think about the era we're in here, shall we? So we had Mike O'Brien. He worked on Battle.net. Yep, good netcode. The very concept of the MPQ format, which a lot of Blizzard games use to this very day, and Warcraft 3's rendering engine. Okay. He was the last one to leave the company. Skipping ahead a little bit, he has gone off 2 years ago to make his own studio. Then we had Patrick Wyatt, who was also responsible for the netcoding of Battle.net, and also left the game to launch another game you've probably heard of called Terra. Yes, it's another Korean MMO, which has shut down since then. He currently works over at Amazon Games. Then we have Jeff Strain. He's actually an interesting one because he worked on the campaign editor for StarCraft and Warcraft 3 and did a little bit of the programming for WoW Vanilla back when WoW was basically just being developed out of Frozen Throne. He left in 2009 to form Undead Labs. Some of you may remember that company. They're the ones who made the State of Decay series. He then left that company to make another company in 2021, which I'm not going to tell you anything about because that company shut down last year after producing absolutely nothing. So as of 2009, as in 2009, none of the Blizzard devs were left there. That well predates the existence of Guild Wars 2. I just wanted to mention that because I've heard several people say, oh my god, ArenaNet is ex-Blizzard. I find drilling down to the specifics helps a little bit because ArenaNet only had one Blizzard dev left until 2009. Or as of 2000, or sorry, yeah, as of 2009. Sorry, correct terminology, and that guy left a couple of years ago. Anyways, this is a good time as I need to mention that ArenaNet, very, very, very early on in its career, was acquired by a company you may have heard of called NCSoft, who are not as bad as Nexon or Tencent, but they're like one tier down in terms of awful. So NCSoft, this is 2002, by the way, is when they were bought out by NCSoft. You may remember them as the developers of Lineage 1 and 2 and the developers of Aeon. Also the publishers of 3 MMOs that I hope at least some of you recognize, which include Tabula Rasa, Wildstar, and City of Heroes. If you said, what do those all have in common? Congratulations, yes, they have all been shut down since then. Anyways, so anyway, screw NCSoft, moving on. Let's talk about Guild Wars 1 briefly. You're probably expecting me to give you the big, in-depth lore of Guild Wars 1, and that's not what's going to happen, because, like it or not, Guild Wars 1 is kind of detached from Guild Wars 2. I have always had the very strong belief that this was a deliberate decision, a specific thing that they did in order to allow Guild Wars 2 to be a little bit more accessible to new players to the franchise. And indeed, Guild Wars 2 has absolutely surpassed Guild Wars 1 in terms of player base and longevity. It's worth noting that I actually like Guild Wars 1. For those of you wondering about my opinion, I'll just go ahead and give that away. I liked it enough to push through Guild Wars 1 vanilla with one other person. That'd be me and Pax. Now, some of you understand what that means, but for those of you who don't, let me try and explain. Guild Wars 1 had this wonderful concept called henchmen. Now, henchmen filled out the party list other than players. This is something that very, very recently other MMOs have started doing. FF14 has this with followers. FF11 has it with whatever they call that. World of Warcraft also has followers. But Guild Wars 1, yeah, exactly, Giga Pudding. Guild Wars 1 was actually the originator of this concept. A bunch of bot AIs that ran their own scripts and they would follow you and do their thing. Here's the thing. Henchmen sucked. A lot. The henchman you gained access to was manually crafted. So in other words, you would only have access to A, B, and C in a specific zone, right? There were a couple of ways around that, but generally speaking, that was it. And they were level capped depending on the zone, too. So you had no control over who you had access to, and you had no control over their build, right? So you just got whatever build they had. Good, bad, in between, doesn't matter. That's on them. And henchmen were also pretty stupid. It took some time for them to iterate on that. In fact, it took until functionally their last expansion, Nightfall. However, once Nightfall hit, they backported this new concept of the previous game, the previous expansions, which is called Heroes. Heroes are legit. It would take a decent amount of time to explain why heroes are legit. So all I'm going to say is heroes are henchmen plus. You have greater control over them, and you can actually change their builds. And all of a sudden, Guild Wars 1 just flung open. Because at that point, you have total control over every party member's build. It's at that point, it's just a single-player RPG, right? Yeah, exactly. Once you start actually microing your heroes, it was awesome. It was great. And they actually iterated on that, too, a little bit further when Gwen came out. So Guild Wars 1, once Nightfall hit, it was just like, yes! And that's also when I officially fell in love with Guild Wars 1. It was pretty much the last expansion. But that's when I went back and really started fleshing things out, trying new builds, replaying some of the campaigns with some of the new kit, you know. My personal favorite setups, there's two. Forgive me for sharing, just really quick. One, I was playing an assassin, and Pax was playing a warrior. I think I was assassin warrior because I had an enhancement, which is a maintained buff. And he was playing a warrior ranger, I want to say. I actually don't remember. He was like warrior. It was very warrior-y. And you're like, well, okay, so you're 2 DPS. What'd you do? Well, then we had 2 healers, 2 very different types of healers, I feel like adding. One of whom was primarily cooldown focused and could prevent us from taking damage. The other one could constantly have a small but continuous stream of healing going through. And then we had everyone else, and all of us had a litany of heroes that we could bring. We brought an interrupter, we brought buffers, we brought debuffers, we brought stuns, we brought yanks, we brought, like, dots. We had so many options for it, and none of them would do any damage at all. Instead, the other 6 party members would just make sure that we did the damage of an entire party, and it worked. We crushed that game. We broke that game in half, and it was so much fun. the other build I want to share really, really quick. I was a Ritualist. And this is actually a build Gary came up with. I'll credit him on this. The Ritualist build was a machine gun, is the simplest way to explain it. So Ritualists could summon what are, for all intents and purposes, turrets. And there was a way to summon a lot of turrets. It took very specific setup and very specific build, but you could summon a whole bunch of turrets, and then you gained one ability which would also yank them to you as you moved. Also, that worked really well because turrets count as player damage, which means all of those buffs we're getting from all our party members are also buffing the turrets. It's a lot of fun. It's a great game. It has a great story. It's very, very rough. It has no jump button, is the factoid I like to throw up right up front to give an idea of just how old of a game Guild Wars 1 really is. And it looks at it and it feels it. But we played the hell out of Guild Wars 1, especially from Nightfall onwards. We got good at the game, for lack of a better way to put it. Stuck with it, played through Gwen. And Gwen was interesting. So Gwen was put together specifically as a lead-in to Guild Wars 2. In fact, what they were wanting to do was to do like 5 or 6 expansions, and they quickly realized that all the stories they wanted to do, they basically couldn't. Like, it wasn't feasible. It wasn't logistically possible to actually sit down and put together the expansions they wanted to. So they started hammering around ideas and what to do's and how to do's, and they came up with the idea, let's just make a sequel. Now, that sounds obvious. How many MMO sequels have succeeded versus how many have flopped? I'll give you a hint. Very few versus a whole lot of them. MMO sequels, because of the unique environment, the unique biome, we'll call it ecosystem. Because of the unique ecosystem of an MMO and what MMOs are, generally speaking, an MMO sequel does not work. And has not worked. There's just too many people who have too much investment in the original game. And Guild Wars 2 is one of the exceptions. There's very, very, very few of those players who are willing to make the jump. And then you also need to make new players in, but there's also that additional barrier of that 2 in the title. I know that sounds strange, but when you consider all of gaming, all the people who might play an MMO, which is already a relatively small player base compared to all players in general, looking at a game called 2 is a barrier to entry. I know this. I've experienced this. I've seen this. How many of you, real quick, have either of yourselves or someone you know looked at Witcher 3 and said, well, I can't start with 3? Spoilers, you can. In fact, I recommend you start with Witcher 3. But a lot of people looked at Witcher 3 and said, well, I got to go play 1 and 2 first. I want to play 3. I'm interested in 3. It looks cool, but I got to play 1 and 2 first. And it's like, no, just jump in at 3. So there's that extra little psychological barrier of the fact that there's a 2 in the title. Then you add in the fact that the first game has been going for however many years, long enough to be successful, long enough to get a sequel, which means the first game, there's no nice way to put this, is better than the second game. It has more content, it has more stuff to do, it has more mechanics, it has more polish, it has more patches. So even regardless of player investment, there's more game investment in the original. The sequel starts off fresh. It's the Sims 4 problem all over again, right? So, yeah, FF14, don't even worry about that. So, a lot of people, pretty much, Velcro Blade. A lot of people looked at Guild Wars 2 and said, there's no way. There's no way it's going to succeed. But they figured it was the only way they could move forward. The devs said, this is the only possible option for us. This is the only way we could do what we want to do. And they happened to be running high. They had a decent amount of backing, and NCSoft hadn't started pulling down the axe just yet. So they started development, and that development went for 5 years. So Guild Wars 2 was in development total. In August of 2012, Guild Wars 2 launched. Now, this is interesting. So Guild Wars 2 is considered one of the big 3, for those who know. I actually mentioned that earlier. 2007 is when they started, Giga Pudding. You have World of Warcraft, of course, you have Final Fantasy XIV, and you have Guild Wars 2. That's the big 3, and they're called that for a reason. There are other MMOs that challenge them, like RuneScape, which is just kind of over in its own field over there doing its own thing. And obviously some of the older MMOs are still going, but the big 3 are those 3. Guild Wars 2 launched in August of 2012, which was a very unusual time for it to launch. It happened to be a bit auspicious. However, as I'll discuss going through this, Guild Wars 2 nearly shut down because it was starting to flag in terms of player base and all kinds of issues. And of course, then, COVID hit. And thank God Shadowlands happened, because I say without hyperbole, and I've actually already talked about this in the WoW run, that if not for the Shadowlands dip, Guild Wars 2 probably would have died. And we wouldn't have gotten Secrets of the Obscure or the Janthir expansion. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head. Yeah. So, August 2012. Guild Wars 2 launches. This is right about when FF14 1.0 was winding down. I'm not going to go fully in depth into that. You can go watch my FF14 stuff about that. But for those of you who know, November of that year is when FF14 1.0 finally pulled the plug and shut down. The ARR went live in August of 2013. So Guild Wars 2's only real big competition was WoW. Guild Wars 2 was actually in a really strange place because WoW had been going through a a Cataclysm slump at the time. The Cataclysm slump wasn't as bad as the Pandaria slump or the Warlord slump, but it was still a pretty big slump. So a decent number of people popped into Guild Wars 2 at launch, August 2012. It's also worth noting that the developers of Guild Wars 2 went out of their way constantly in every publishing thing to constantly put out the message over and over and over, we do not want to compete with World of Warcraft. For those of you who missed the significance of that, the overwhelming majority of new MMOs that cropped up in that particular era all touted the exact same thing. This is going to be the WoW killer. All of them failed. Guild Wars 2 specifically saying, we want to be over here. We don't want to compete. We're our own space. You can play both MMOs. You can play us on the side. It's cool. It caught a lot of players' attention. Players who are already in the MMO space. Players who are already playing WoW. Players who wanted something different than Cataclysm. So, okay. See you around, poses now. Have a good one. And thank you for the sub. Always. So, it launched. Okay. So it launched. Guild Wars 2 is out. Yes. Oh my god, this is so cool. And they've got this great opening intro thing. Oh my god, this opening intro is so cool. And then we go out and there's an event. I did an event that was fun. And there's a heart. Okay, that was kind of dumb. And then there's a meta. Yeah, okay, and that's it. I don't want to be too harsh, but Guild Wars 2 Vanilla is the worst of the big three that we've discussed. FF14 ARR is not something I consider particularly good. And WoW Vanilla is something that I have railed on famously for years. I still think Guild Wars 2 Vanilla is worse. It was in a very rough space, because despite their statements to the contrary, it's pretty clear that they actually had no idea what they were doing. Now, not to be too harsh, what was happening, I can tell you this with definitiveness now, at the time we could only speculate, was they were throwing stuff at the wall. Seeing what stuck. Because they tried a lot of stuff in Guild Wars 2 Vanilla, and not all of it stuck. Not all of it stayed with the game. For example, dungeons only exist. Yes, JKR. It was for the hardcore crowd. And then NCSoft shut them down. Dungeons only exist in WoW Vanilla, and we may show those off. That's actually dependent on people who aren't me, because dungeons suck. There were two huge issues with Guild Wars 2 Vanilla, both of which have essentially been solved by modern Guild Wars 2. First is there was no threat system. I actually decided to look this up off camera at one point in time. The overwhelming majority of mobs in Guild Wars 2 just target something randomly. Some of them target the last person who hit them, but otherwise they decide who to hit randomly. This is a problem because a lot of classes, and more specifically a lot of builds, are a lot less tanky than others. So there's no tanks. There's also no healers, or at least there weren't any healers at launch. So the Trinity was just gone. And yeah, they really wanted it not be a Trinity, which I was actually with in theory. WildStar also dipped its toes into the concept of being a non-Trinity game. The problem both games made was they kept having design based on the idea of the Trinity existing. Like, class design didn't have the Trinity, but enemy design and boss design treated as though there were tanks and healers. And this was a huge issue in some of the early events and stuff. How many of you remember... Yeah, exactly, Lord Hermit. How many of you remember launch... I forget what it's specifically, but it's the Centaur event, the Centaur meta. specifically, in Guild Wars 2 Vanilla. Because that event sucked at launch. It was one of the big metas alongside like the shadow creature in the swamp, and of course the Shatterer. Or not the Shatterer, the big dragon guy. And that event sucked because the Trinity didn't exist, and it was so obvious it was supposed to. It was just throwing bodies. It was just throwing bodies at it and rezzing, and throwing bodies and rezzing. Now, I do think the res mechanic in this game is actually excellent, and I'll praise it when we get to it. But it was an issue, which they did eventually solve. Then they also had, no threat system, no proper Trinity design, and no real content. As I'll show, Guild Wars 2 Vanilla, the vanilla part of the stream, we might finish today, because there's so little there. Leveling kinda sucked, and there just wasn't much to do. It was very much designed to be just like an open roaming, just pick a direction and go kind of a game, right? Which has zero interest to me because I prefer content. I like to do stuff. There was an MSQ. I will show you the MSQ, but the MSQ was like, all right, do this quest. Okay, come back in 8 levels. Okay, I guess I'll go hit up some hearts and do some events. Okay. Next main story quest shows up. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna go do the quest. All right, that was cool. All right, come back in 10 levels. Okay. I actually quit Guild Wars 2 Vanilla. I didn't finish it. I quit right about when we were hitting Ore, for those of you who know where that is. And I was just done with it. I was completely done with it. I couldn't deal with it. This is the anniversary armor. I felt appropriate to have it on this character. I'll tell you why in a second. So I couldn't deal with it anymore. And I bowed out of Guild Wars 2 for years. In fact, for about 5 years. They came out with patches, upgraded a few things. You know, they added seasons and the living world concept. They came out with Heart of Thorns. I have no idea, Linarth. We'll find out. I prefer it to not be spread out at all in any way, shape, or form, Primarch. It's something I've actually dinged FF14 for as well. But yeah, so I bowed out for 5 years. Living Worlds came out, Heart of Thorns came out, and then the Heart of Thorns Living World came out, and this whole time, PAX was still kind of playing the game very idly in the background. Late 2017, Path of Fire came out. Now, Path of Fire was interesting, because it wasn't like a big thing. You know how most games have a back-of-the-box feature? Big, new, huge feature that completely changes the game. Path of Fire didn't actually have that. I know you're going to say mounts, but no. Mounts don't really change the game. They're good. I like the mount design of this game. But really what Path of Fire did was it was just better, right? The quest design was better. The story design was better. The voice acting had gotten better. And it's not like the voice acting was ever bad. There's a lot of voice acting in this game, by the way. Hey, I'll save my throat a little bit. Yeah, it was polished, exactly. Path of Fire was just polished. Overworld design was better. Heart design was better. Event design was better. Progression design was better. The process by which you could get Ascended gear was actually improved. All kinds of little stuff like that. And yeah, so Path of Fire was just better. And Pax played through all of Path of Fire, the initial, not the Living World, and he was like, you gotta come play this. I was in a weird place. Late 2017, at this point in time, for those of you who know my history, I'd already quit FF14. That was Stormblood. And I was done with FF14 because I hated Stormblood. So I just noped out of Stormblood completely. And Legion was still going, but it was in the patch cycle. So I had plenty of time to not be no-lifing. Like, I'd already leveled all my characters in Legion, so it's like, okay, I'll go ahead, I'll pop in, I'll try out Guild Wars 2 again. I still have my account, and there's no sub, as a reminder, which is why their in-game store is monetized to hell and back. So, sure. And lo and behold, Path of Fire was legit. In fact, what I actually did was, so remember, I'm way up here in Vanilla, went to Lion's Arch, took the quest to go start Path of Fire, went down to Alona, and then went and got my mount and started the first quest. And it was just such an immediate, this is so much better. So then I made a huge mistake. I went back to finish Vanilla and then go through Heart of Thorns. That was a terrible idea. But in case you missed it, you can just skip ahead. I'll show you the specific mechanic of this, but you can just kind of skip to one point or another throughout the... Yeah, I did Heart of Thorns without mounts. I mean, I had the raptor. Hello. Hey. Yes, sorry. So for those of you not aware, I'm currently cat watching, cat sitting, whatever that's called. Hey, you're okay. He's still in the adjusting period, so he only pokes his head out periodically. You're okay. You're okay. You're okay. Yeah, I'm right here. I'm right here. It's all okay. It's all okay. This is actually the first time he's been out during the day, so that's actually a good sign. Oh yeah, Heart of Thorns. As we will discuss, Heart of Thorns has what I consider to be one of the worst zones in all of MMO history. I'm not actually exaggerating when I say that. It's terrible. Anyways, so Path of Fire was the Shadowbringers for me. Cool. But now is a good time to explain what this stream is, because every other MMO we've streamed, we've reviewed the MMO. And originally that was going to be the plan with Guild Wars 2. Yes, worse than Kurthia. And then I realized that that would be insane and stupid. We have a concept, for those of you not aware of me, called PFR. It stands for Possible, Feasible, Reasonable. And it refers to the stuff that we don't cover on stream, because we cover an insanely huge variety of games. And so in some cases, it's not possible, feasible, or reasonable. Now the cat is going to the bathroom right in front of me. Thank you for that. I look forward to the spells I'll be spelling in a few seconds. It has to be here. There's nowhere else to put the litter box, so whatever. I'm stuck in this room while I'm here in the temporary shelter. So, but I realized as I was sitting down, figuring out and working out all of the logistics and mechanics of covering all of Guild Wars 2, I realized just how insane that would be. And I realized just how problematic that would be. Because the thing is, for those of you not aware, and this is something I've said recently, but now we're on camera and I want to share this publicly, Guild Wars 2 is two completely separate games that really don't actually connect with each other. There's a single-player RPG, which you can play co-op, but it actually does have a decent amount of co-op functionality to it, which we'll talk about as we go. But it's over here, right? There's the single-player game. It's got voice acting, it's got quests, it's got, you know, big epic fights, yada, yada, yada. And then over here is everything else. There's so much else. There's achievement grinding. There's the PvP. There's the World v World. There's fractals. There's strikes. There's raids. There's even the very existence of ascendant weapons is arguably over here. Legendaries are definitely over here. All kinds of stuff like that. So all of this we're pretending doesn't exist. I may talk about a bit of it. Indeed, I do actually plan to talk about quite a bit of it. But we're not reviewing any of it, because that's a different game. I have dipped my toes into that. I have one legendary, and a small amount of gold. But yeah, all of that other stuff is much more Korean MMO, which makes sense, because NCSoft. Now, with all of that said, so class design is an interesting thing. So as you can see, let's start off by covering the basics, like we always do, interface stuff. But first, I want to say thank you to Nightwing for the sub. I noticed you didn't actually give that towards anything, but if you want to put that towards something, please do let me know. Here, let me move this over here. Is that better? Is that better? Okay. The interface is very pretty. It's also terrible. I was actually talking about this literally just last night. By the way, this is my... Everyone has like a home, like a place they just call home in a given in a given MMO. This is mine, Gandharan Fields. You're probably thinking, why? Well, I mean, it's pretty, but the real reason is because Lion's Arch is right there, and it has a quick load time. So most of my characters camp at the Gandharan Fields. If you've ever seen me show off Guild Wars 2, you may notice that almost all my characters are logged here. Because, well, The load times in Lion's Arch are... Hang on, we're not done yet. Hang on. Hang on. Okay, there we are. This is why my characters don't hang out in the capital cities. There's actually a few. Hey, look, there's someone with Sunrise. Yeah. And obviously there's a bunch of cool stuff here that I have to interact with periodically, but when I want to log into a character, I don't want to go through all that nonsense. So, I hang out in Gendarin. Guild Wars 2 is actually quite a pretty game, yes. I have negative interest in it, Triaxia. Absolutely no interest whatsoever. I also think they're trend chasing. So, no, Primarch. I never cared for it much, so I stopped pretty much immediately. So, Gendarin, so you notice how much quicker Gendarin was to load. Let's talk interface. All right, so... kind of depends on your availability. Let me give my best... So for those of you who just want the really quick one-sentence review of Guild Wars 2, skip vanilla as much as you're able to. Like, buy a level if you have to. Race through it. Just skip it. Just get it out of the way and scooch forward. You're probably like, how is that possible? Well, I told you I'd show this off. So, my story, this is vanilla. Screw this. Throw this out the trash. Living World Season 1 is when things start to get interesting. But honestly, you could kind of skip that and just skip ahead to Living World Season 2, which directly leads into Heart of Thorns, which directly leads into Season 3, and so forth and so on, right? But this is what I mean when I say you could skip forward. I could just start Gen 3 Weltern. I could just be like, begin the story, and start the most recent expansion, having never done anything before it. I can just do that. I can make the cursor grabbed. That's actually an option. I usually deliberately turn that off for most games. But for Guild Wars 2... Oh, yep, there it is. Okay. Anyways, so... Vanilla, I don't recommend Vanilla. If you're invested enough in the rest of the game, feel free to go back and try out Vanilla. It's really unnecessary to enjoy the rest of the story, and I don't think it adds much gameplay-wise. But it's one of those things, right? It's why I don't recommend you start Star Trek The Next Generation with Season 1. It's why I don't recommend you start the Final Fantasy with Final Fantasy series with Final Fantasy 1. It's why I don't recommend you start the Zeldas with Zelda 1, etc., etc., etc. In Guild Wars 2, if you want to really... I mean, honestly, if you really want to know if you like Guild Wars 2, start with Path of Fire. I know that sounds strange, but honestly, you will be like, But if you like Path of Fire... If you enjoy the first few quests, if you're getting into the game, then think about going back. Then think about trying the stuff that is rougher, right? That's always the kind of advice I tend to give. Yeah, it's also why you should start WoW with Dragonflight and not with BC. Anywho, I'm just going to flex here for a second. I love the branded thing. There's one branded skin I don't have, which is a good time as I need to talk about the shop. So basically everything in this game, that's a little bit, I'd say about half, maybe a little more like 2/3 of the stuff in the game you can get is stuff you buy with real money. That includes mount skins. You see all these? All of this, every single one of these is an individual microtransaction. See all that? Did I mention that Guild Wars 2 is really big on microtransactions? So it's so much worse than whatever you're thinking. It really is. It is so much worse than whatever you're thinking. Why is that so loud? Hang on a second. Let's turn that like down here. It is so much worse than what you're thinking. Oh, hi. I think that's Giga. I don't know who that is. Hello, random stranger. Who I will now shoot. Anyways, oh no! I'm so sorry! Yeah, this is the price. This is the price for not having a sub fee. And honestly, and I mean this with total sincerity, I would rather have a sub. I know that that's a bit of an unpopular opinion. I kind of don't care because the amount of stuff you have to buy with real money in this game is kind of stupid. For example, well, I can't actually show up my bank. Why is there just a fish there? Let's show off this one, right? So the Dreadnought, okay? This is a skin I can buy. Right? That's cool. Look at how armored that is. Oh, man, that's so cool. Why don't I go ahead and check it? Let's see how much it is right now. Let's see. Oh, it's not gonna... It didn't open it specifically. Well, okay, whatever. This one... Here we go. This thing. I could buy this. Check it out. This is only 2,000 gems. Wait, how much is 2,000 gems? Oh, well, let's check. Let's see. 2,000 gems is... It's about $35 to buy enough gems to cover that. As with every microtransaction game in the universe, these are not in the amounts that are concurrent for buying things. You always have to buy too little or too much. So, this JPEG is 30 bucks, roughly. Maybe more like 25 or something like that. So that's bad. Now, it's just cosmetic. First of all, isn't an excuse. Let's just get that out of the way. Let's just lay that down. I know that excuse has been used for years to explain and to make it acceptable and to try to be like, it's fine, it's fine. No. As I've discussed many, many times, cosmetics are absolutely part of gameplay. There's a reason cosmetics are part of review, too. Everybody knows, to some extent or another, how much we enjoy dressing up in video games. We've been doing it since the SNES era. We like looking cool. We like seeing other people looking cool in a multiplayer or an MMO. No, we apologize. In an MMO environment or any multiplayer environment, having skins is something you can see. It's, oh, that's cool. Where did you get that? Or, oh, that's neat. And you like showing off. You like getting on your giant lightning branded death dragon and just hovering there just to show off. It is 100% part of the game and therefore qualifies for negative territory, or positive as the case may be. So the it's just cosmetic excuse doesn't fly. By the way, you can also buy in-game stuff. So bank expansions, you get such a tiny pittance of bank space, right? Being able to craft, hello, can I help you? He just jumped up on the desk. Can't hear. Come up here. Come up here. Come up here so they can see, so they know that you actually exist. No, not my lap, not my lap. Oh my god, the camera is like right out of range. Here, hang on. I'm sorry. Here, just to prove that he actually exists. There you go. I'm sorry. I know you don't like being lifted. I apologize. Here, have some pets. Have some pets. You have such a pittance of bank space in this game. And in order to get more slots, costs real money. Yes, I know. You're okay. It's okay. Gosh, what else? Crafting, bag slots, mail carriers. There's some harvesting nodes, which helps jumpstart your crafting. And if you want Ascended or Legend gear, you need crafting. Instant level 80 boosts, obviously. Gathering things. So you have to buy... Here, I'll actually show you. You have to buy gathering... items right down here. Those have usages. Once they're used up, they're gone, and you have to buy a new one. So, but for real money, you could buy one that doesn't go away. That's just there, and you could just craft. Wouldn't that be cool? Oh my gosh. You can buy build template expansions, so you can save more build templates because you're limited on how many builds you can save in the game. By the way, this is all per account. By the way. You can buy character slot expansions because you get 5 to start with. There are 9 classes in the game. You can get salvagers, which these are honestly kind of what you may or may not notice. I've actually got my copper one just right there in the shared slot. Oh, speaking of which, there's shared inventory. This is account inventory. It's these slots right here up top. I need to sort this a little bit. There's all, God, there's a decent amount of stuff. And some of this is stuff you probably do actually want. Yeah, there we go. Shared inventory slot. 700 gems to get 1 shared inventory slot. Yes? Can I help you? He's just, what are you doing? Why are you on my desk? Oh yeah, salvage kits are basically mandatory, and I'll explain why when we get there. And that's the thing. A lot of this is, it's that wonderful gradient. We've actually talked about this before. Mandatory is more of a gradient than a lot of people tend to think. Because a lot of people think mandatory means this is what's needed. No, no, really. But it's actually more like how mandatory it is depends on how much you're pushed towards it. Because you don't actually... Yes, that's my elbow. You don't... And that's my lap. Oh, jeez. Hello, cat. Here, let me get the headphones out of your way. Is that better? I'm being walked on. Help. Help. Oh my god, please stop going for this. Why do you keep... He keeps wanting my cup. I've actually had to go to the point of making sure that these cups are empty every time the cat is here, because he beelines for them for some reason. No, no, no. Okay, okay. I don't know how to deal with this. By the way, I'm not a cat person, if it's not obvious. This is my niece's cat that I am watching for them during the move. And, I'm trying my best to make it comfortable because he's very, he's scared and he's in a new place. But, I am not a cat person. I've been getting advice from people on how to deal with. Anyways. Mandatory is a gradient, and there's a lot of stuff in this game that isn't mandatory, like you can do without. And as is always the defense, this is always the defense. You can earn gems in game because you can exchange gold for gems and vice versa, actually. So you can earn gems in game. That's possible for you to do. You may notice I have 30 gold. I've been playing this game since launch. Well, really, I've been playing it since Path of Fire. And that's still 2017. That's still 8 years of playing this game. More like 7.5. And I have 30 gold to my name. But you can. You can go, but yeah, no, that's as is always true. That's not an excuse. This character is only 293 hours. That's actually funny. I think some of my others are. Oh, there it is. Across all characters, I have 716 hours. But I'm getting off topic. So the point I'm trying to get at is that this amazing outfit, which seems to be shown off properly here, is the kind of cosmetic stuff. But I don't want to talk about cosmetic just yet. I just want to talk about the store. The store sucks. The store is shoved in... Oh, sorry, hang on. Why do you have a choya in your hat? Why do you have a rabbit in your hat? Why is your expression like you're sneering the entire time? So... Hello, cat. Again. Can I help you? Please stop rubbing up against my monitor. You're leaving fur on my monitor. Please? I know it's warm. Please stop. Thank you. So... The store sucks. I honestly think this might be... What are you two doing? One of the worst gaming stores I've seen amongst the MMOs that I care about. I have seen worse because I've seen worse MMOs, right? You get into the real dreck of MMOs. Like, go watch Josh Strife Hayes. You can see how far down this particular hole can go. But amongst, like, the big three, this is easily the worst. This is terrible. Because I haven't even told you what I actually personally consider to be the worst part, personally. Because here's the thing. Okay, you know what? Fine. I like the game. There's no sub. I want to support the game. If it's not obvious, I have actually bought a few things. This is a purchase thing. This is like 30 bucks. And I have actually bought a few things. Specifically because I wanted to support the game because it's a good game and because I really like that skin. I've gotten some good use out of it. That's whatever. I've also bought a couple of outfits. We'll show those off in a minute. But I have a few here as well. Only a few. Here's the problem. How many of you, some of you know the answer to this, so for those of you who know, just, but how long do you think it took me to spend $30 on this mount? And for everyone else, that's probably a really weird question. But for those of you who know, any guesses? Any guesses? How long do you take? How long do you think of the process of going to store, spending money on gems, spending gems on the thing, right? Because for those of you who played FF14, you know that buying stuff with FF14's Mog Station is kind of a pain because their back end is terrible. And their front end isn't great either. Morning, Rex. 20 minutes? Okay, that's actually a good guess. 20 minutes is really frustrating, right? Super frustrating to get in there. The answer is a little over a year and 2 months. I was keeping track at a certain point. Now, that's partially my fault, but it's mostly the game's fault. And you're probably thinking, what? Let me explain. So, this is a problem I'm facing right now, so I can actually show you live. Do you see this? This is a Warclaw. You'll notice it does not have the branded skin. Branded skin is right here. This is the one I want. You'll notice I can't buy it right now. It is not available for sale. I am incapable of buying it. So the in-game store rotates what's available. You may or may not have noticed as I was glancing through these, some of these have these exclamation marks. Those are the ones that are currently purchasable. Those 3 at the top are the only ones you can purchase. Those right there. Hang on, it's even worse. Because the rotation isn't like linear, right? It's not predictable. It's not like if you picture a circle with all the purchasable transmogs and stuff, it doesn't just do this, right? It's like boop, boop, boop. Some of these only go on sale for 2 days. I know this because when I finally picked up this skin, which was specifically the branded skin for my Sky Scale, it went live for 2 days. This is why I say it's partially my fault, because every now and again, I actually missed a sale because it only lasted a day or two in order to buy one of the skins. Korean, Czar. What if you're out of town? Sucks to be you! What if you don't have money at that point in time? That's another problem I've run into with this game. Because I don't always have, fluid currency to spend on something like a transmog. So a year and 2 months. Yeah, there's literally people who do gem store tracking, and some parts of the wiki actually keep track of when sales are available, and some people will do, basically as a community service, hey, this stuff's available right now, because of how bad it is. So, for about a year and 2 months, I popped in looking for my frickin' things. Why is it listed if you can't buy it? So you can look at it. Look, I can preview it. Look, it's right there. It'd be so cool. It'd be so cool if I could buy it, but I can't. Just to really emphasize that here, let's pull up the store right now. Hang on, so let's hit promotions. Okay. Does it actually say? Sometimes it says. Looks like it's not actually saying. Sometimes it specifically says, this is available for X amount of time. Oh, here you go. 7 days. All this stuff right here you can buy for 7 days. I think this just rotated. Like either yesterday or today. So this is a week. That's up from some of this stuff. If you want any of these things, log in right now and buy it, because it's going away for an undisclosed period of time in 7 days. This is awful. I'm just going to lay that down. This is so awful. It is, my opinion, the worst part of the game, because even if we ignore the honestly pretty predatory practices they have in place, even if we ignore the sheer amount of gameplay benefit you can get from the store, even if we ignore how much money you have to dump on the game to get a ton of stuff, how much things cost, even if you ignore all of that's bad, right? But if you finally get to the point where, like me, you're like, you know what, I like this game. I like this game. I want to financially support it. There's no sub. Sure, let's go ahead and buy the Frost thing, because the Frost thing is cool. Sucks to be you. So, we're going to start with negatives. I'm not actually sure exactly how many negatives we're going to get. Exactly. I'm going to have to check our STO thing, but we're going to start off with 9. Because it's a minimum of 9. We'll circle back to that. This is another popular one I've seen. It's actually part of the reason why I tend to like the branded mounts. Obviously, they look extremely cool and they fit my aesthetic. I'll talk about why in just a second. Why is that so loud? But nobody uses the branded skins. Nobody uses the branded skins. And it's probably at least partially because they never go on freaking sale. Like, right? Well, yeah, I mean, I don't really need that bank space, Rax. And I don't really need the character slots. And oh, speaking of which, I actually, for this run, will have to go and spend another, I think it's $10 in order to buy another character slot, to have enough character slots to try off all the classes for this very run. Anyways, let me be very clear about this. This is NC Soft to a T. Anybody who's ever studied it, some of you know I'm kind of an MMO guy. I'm not as big as Jaws Drive Heist, but I've been doing this for longer. And it's a very, very common trend to lean into this sort of thing in order to try and... I'm trying to think how to best to phrase this. It's like they want desperately to try and get big impact in small periods of time rather than steady income. I don't know, statistically speaking, which makes more money. However, NCSoft has done this with every other MMO they've ever touched. And this is their modus operandi. In fact, this is actually just the Korean method in general, is trying to make sure that every now and again, oh my god, buy. And so if you look at the amount of money Guild Wars 2 makes, and most of these games makes, it's like this, right? There's just a spike, and then it goes back down to normal, and there's a spike, and it goes back to normal, there's a spike, etc. Instead of just, which is, you know, what they could do if all of them are actually there. Oh my god, is Bragwin actually here? Holy crap, Bragwin is actually here. I am in shock. Now, I just said a lot of negative things. I stand by that. Let me go ahead and show off some of the positive things. So you'll notice all of my branded here, they've all got this lightning look. But if you're paying attention, you notice the work layer. When I pull up the lightning skin, it doesn't look like that. That's because mounts are dyeable in this game. I have like a color scheming thing with all my characters. So let's go over to dyes, which is here. And I don't know, Rax, give me a color. In fact, everyone say a color. I need 4 total. We'll talk about dyes in a second. Okay, so purple. So we'll do purple first, and then green, and then blue. Like a lighter blue. Maybe like a bluer blue. Do I have like a bluer blue? I don't have a lot of blues, actually. We'll try that one. And then, what was after blue? Black. I don't actually have black. Black is actually hard to come by. I have really dark red, blue, I think purple. And that's it. But there you go. Here you go. This is the viewer's version of my branded. Yeah, black is expensive. I haven't even. Oh, you think black's bad? Oh, hang on. So, oh, what's it called? It's the white. There it is. Permafrost. You may not notice that permafrost costs 86 gold. This is permafrost. And, it's actually pretty solid. Yeah, it's gone down a lot. But, as a reminder, I have 30 gold. So... yeah, where is black? Like, just straight up black. There it is. Black is down to 4, which is actually pretty far down, honestly. Wait, no. Preview. There we go. And you'll notice it's not actually all that different from mine. Mine's, you can see there's little hints of blue in mine. Shrug. Shadow Abyss, however... oh, hang on. There we go. Looks barely different. That's 139 gold. There are different types of colors. As is obvious if you're looking at this, there's a lot of colors. And I kind of... No. Once you unlock it, it's here. What you're doing when you buy a die is you're unlocking it, like transmogs over in WoW. The thing I admittedly don't like the die system, because other than buying it from the auction house, the way you get dies is there's all sorts of sources of die packs. Each of these die packs is usually themed. Like there's a Zaitan die pack, and there's like a, I don't know, there's a Vigil die pack and so forth and so on. And they contain, you know, X amount of dies. When you open it, you get a random die from that pack, which you may or may not already have. The reason I'm willing to let this go a little bit, just a little, is because when you have a die that you don't need, you can just sell it. And that way, you can see how the system perpetuates, right? Most of the dies that people don't need, they just dump into the auction house, and then people just buy the ones that they actually need. The thing is, it is still gacha, and it does still suck. So we're just gonna put that there. Yeah, there are people who literally farm unidentified dies. We actually had some guild stuff. What's the name of my guild? I even know the name of my guild. Legends of Thunderhead, for anybody wondering. Pax dragged me into this guild. We had a bit of guild drama because someone hit the guild bank, which you're generally supposed to be completely hands-off of unless you get specific permission to. And someone pulled out, like, God, I don't know, like 1,000 unidentified die packs. And was just farming them out in order to get dies. And, yeah, anyways. Moving on. It wasn't just farming for dies. It was some crafting thing. But whatever. Yeah, so we'll talk about... I mentioned the other side of stuff. I'm going to briefly talk about the stuff we're not reviewing. Because, why not? But hang on. So, okay, I've talked about the in-game store. It sucks. Did I mention you could get utility stuff here? Here, I'll show you what a utility item's like. Boop. So this is the Mistlock Sanctuary. Now, funnily enough, I bought this specifically for this run. Like an idiot. This is the only purchase in this entire game I regret. Because, you see this load time? I specifically bought this to skip this load time. I wanted to have access to a capital city for this run that had lower load times. But as you can see, it's just as long as any freaking capital city. Now, it's a nice capital city, but the problem is everybody freaking uses it. I'm just glad I got this on sale. So this is Mistlock. You're probably thinking, what is it? It's everything, right? It's actually probably one of the best designed gameplay hubs in the game. You have merchants of every type around here. You've got all of the crafting stations within like 10 feet of each other. You've got the trading post right there. You've got the crafters down there. You've got the banks down there. There's an access to the fractals right there. There's their armor reinforcement thing. There's your gathering merchant to fix that up. There's your master weapon stuff right there. It's all right here. That's the benefit of it. And of course, there's a teleporter right in the middle, which lets you go to various places like Lion's Arch. So you can't access Mistlock without that item. Now you can access the actual capital, which is Lion's Arch. You'll notice it's still loading. I can tell because there's this giant... Hey, there it goes. I should mention this game is old. And I was talking about this just last night because I was showing it off to a friend of mine who was thinking about picking it up. Guild Wars 2, I love Guild Wars 2. Let me be very clear. I'm always start with the bad because I want to get that out of the way. That's just my approach. But Guild Wars 2 is an old game, and the more you know about games, the more it shows. It's, it has really hard time rendering large numbers of objects and NPCs, so actors at the same time. And it really doesn't know how to handle distance. Just look at that render, right? Look at that render radius. Look at how stuff is popping in. That's not very far away, too. That's just right across the bay here. And it has. You'll notice earlier when I zoned in, it still hadn't even finished rendering the city as I popped in. And of course, it has a couple of issues with... How do I explain it? You're okay. You're okay. It has a couple of issues with things like, say, if you have too many players in an area, there's actually a setting in the game to help with this. I forget where it is exactly. I think it might be here. Yeah, there it is. Character model limit. You can crank this down, but even if you have it cranked up, it will reach a point where you will stop seeing other players. Trust me, for any big meta, you will get to the point where you're just not seeing all the players there because it can only render so many at a time. This is also very, very obvious in the interface. So you may or may not have even noticed, but as I've been going through this interface, it's kind of rough and a little bit unintuitive, the way the interface works, and it's a little bit crude. It's very 2010s is what I would like to call it. A lot of these things don't quite work the way they should. They take a moment to load. Even this thing right here, there was a wonderful interview a couple years ago about how many hoops they had to jump through to allow you to preview stuff. Like, just the ability to preview it all was a bit of spaghetti code for them, right? The most infamous bit of spaghetti code in this game, I think I've talked about already, during WoW or FF14, one of the two, is repair vendors. Because of the nature of how they did repair vendors, they couldn't figure out how to remove repair, but they couldn't figure out how to remove repairing and durability from the game. So what they did for a pretty long time is they made it so there would be a repair vendor like everywhere, and you'd talk to them and they'd say, sure, and they'd repair stuff for free. Nowadays, it's replaced by this thing. They finally fixed it, which took a lot of manual work and labor in order to do. But for the longest time, that patch fix of just, yeah, here's repairs for free existed because they had tied the nature of how the game calculated in equipment stats to durability. And so removing durability was screwing over gear. That's a summary. I'm really kind of breezing over this. But yeah, this is very, very, very much a spaghetti code. In fact, Guild Wars 2, technically speaking, probably has the most spaghetti code of the big three. And I know that's shocking, coming from FF14. Guild Wars 1 was 2005. I forget if it actually predates WoW or not. I think WoW technically predates it just because of how long it was in development. But... oh, that's right. WoW came out in 2004, didn't it? My bad. Sorry. Either way. Yeah, no. WoW predates Guild Wars 1. Sorry. 2004 and 2005 blur in my head because I spent part of that in a wheelchair. Anyways, so the interface kind of sucks. It's a little bit crude. It's a little bit irritating. There's some mouse over problems. There's some rendering problems. There's some times where it's just kind of weird to interact with, you know. The game looks very polished because most of the effort in Guild Wars 2 went into the visuals. Like, a lot of people look at this game and think, oh, man, modern game. Look at that. Wow. And because I've got a lot of modern gear on here. But then they look at the ground. And the moment you look at that grass, you knew it was coming. The moment you look at that grass, you could tell that this is a game based on an engine from 2005. Just look at the actual... you can see my cursor now, right? Yeah, okay. Look at the specifics of the grass popping up there, right? This is their grass. And that's the grass texture. Now, obviously, this is low-hanging fruit. This is vanilla. But you get the idea, right? If you know where to look, the seams definitely show. And the more modern the thing is, the more up-to-date it looks. It's pretty common in a lot of these. Anyways. But I'm not trying to complain about that. I'm just saying the interface, not super great. I'll put a question mark by that. We'll come back to that. There's also little things like, for example, those of you who've played this game, don't answer this. How do I change which mount? Right? I keep popping this button. Where on my interface do I change what mount I have? I mean, you've probably noticed I've rebound most of my mounts I use all the time to keys. That's why I can just tap this button. Anybody paying attention knows I keep jumping on my sky scale, but the actual mount I have equipped is the rabbit. It's right down here. You see this tiny button? Hang on. Hang on. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Taking even longer than I thought it would. Any day now. Oh my god. This is really taking a minute. I have it set, right? Oh god, now I'm gaslighting myself here. Oh my god, it undid it. What? Huh? Why is that the only one? I'm so confused. And the colors are wrong. What? Alright, hold up. How is this a thing that happened? There we go. Okay, ahem. There we go. Hey, that's my rabbit. There's my boy. That's what the rabbit can do, by the way. We'll talk more about them in a minute. When did it undo my mouth? Thank you for the sub, Techno's World. Always appreciate you. So, red skin darn apples. More violence, I say. Less violence. I hate that line. It's my least favorite line in the entire game. I bet every single one of you played this game knows exactly who says that and why I hate that line. So, this is where you mount, which if you're paying attention, is not the answer to the question I asked. I asked how you change your mount. Do you see that extremely tiny arrow right above the mount? This dinky little thing right here? That is where you change the mount. That tiny little thing is where you switch between your mounts. So take it from me, just rebind them. There's actually specific bindings for each mount. So there's my raptor, which I have down here. That's the, this is the water mount. I forget what it's actually called, the manta ray thing, whatever. I've got my griffin over here. I've got the sky scale over here. And I've got the beetle right here. By the way, beetle is, you're going to see the beetle the least, but I love the trail the branded beetle leaves. Do you see that? Look at that. I love the lightning trail it leaves. Anyways. Okay, that's terrible. But you know what? Surely I can just... so you know how I don't really like FF14's interface all that much, personally, but I give it credit because of how customizable it is? Picture that, but you can't customize jack. That's Guild Wars 2's interface. Like, here's my skills down here. Look at that for a second. Now tell me what that ability does. Remember we talked about mouse over tech and how good WoW's mouse over tech was? And Diablo 3's for that matter. This is mouse over. This is... Ooh. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. Until I came back to this game for Path of Fire, a lot of that was just gobbledygook to me. I did not fully understand what I was looking at. Having bothered to put myself into the game a little bit more and understand a little bit more, I can look at that and be like, oh, okay. Because, yeah, the lingo needed some work. Now, nowadays, I forget when they put this change, so forgive me. Nowadays, they actually say a couple of issues there. Or a couple issues. They say a couple of the specific things that it does there, which is nice. But there's still a lot of, like, using shortcut words and keys, which is just kind of, huh? And, yeah. I mean, you think this is bad? Get on my Guardian. But yeah, damage on unmarked foes, damage bonus per stack. Revealed for 3 seconds, number of targets 5. Shrug. Yeah, you get used to it, you do. But you can tell how this, and I'm not the only one, I've actually heard other people say this, it's a little bit of a barrier to entry. It's a little bit of a, what does this do? How does this work? What is this? What is this? And this lasts for what? Right? It's not super new player friendly. Once you take some time, sit down, really work it out, use the wiki. By the way, the game gets no credit for this, but let me just say, Guild Wars 2's wiki is the best wiki I've ever seen. No joke. It is extremely good. It's very well maintained. It's very well searchable. Also, let's see here. Obviously, I can't actually show you this, but check this out. So I'm going to wiki this item. I'm just going to put that in my inventory. And you can't see it, but just now, it opened up Firefox with the wiki entry for the Orichalcum Harvesting Sickle. The Guild Wars 2 wiki is not only amazing, it's built into the game. Sort of. You can just search for, like, Wiki timer. Or no, it's like event timer or something. Is it wiki event, maybe? No, that's not it. Oh, God, what's the command? I actually don't remember now. Trying to show off a cool feature, and I can't remember the damn command. ET, thank you. Wiki ET, and that pulls up. So I'm actually going to show you this page really quick. Give me a second. Because this page is something, if you're going to play Guild Wars 2 at all, learn this page, okay? It's not necessary. Not really. But it's really helpful. So let me grab this so you can actually see the damn thing. There we go. Boom. So this is what you get when you type in Wiki ET. It is, so there's our time of day, right? And there's all of the events, all of the major cycling events. So that is to say, events that start on a specific real-life timer, okay? So each of those events always starts at X point of time in X day, and it repeats throughout the days. This is that timer, and it's color-coded based on expansion. So there's, there's the basic stuff, Asteria, then we got Heart of Thorns, then we got Path of Fire. Down here we've got more Path of Fire, Ice Brood, End of Dragons, Obscura, and Janthier. This is so invaluable for planning out stuff. I do have unrelated complaints about this feature, which we'll talk about later, but the wiki itself is legit. While we're here, so let's talk about grind. Now, I'm not giving negatives for this, because this is part of the other game. You see this? This is cultural armor right here. Cultural armor is how you get an achievement called the Emperor's New Wardrobe, which gives you the title Emperor. I actually talked about this on camera. All it does is it costs 640 gold and 90 silver. That's it. That's it. Just spend 645 gold on it, and you'll get the title. That's it. That's all. There's no complexity. There's no bypassing. There's no alternate method. Spend the gold. Move on.
Oh, little stinkers.
This, I think, is a great way to explain how Guild Wars 2's cosmetic scene works, is the way I want to call that. Because, you know how I mentioned there's the main quest, which is awesome, and is what we're going to be reviewing? All the other stuff is either bottlenecked or extremely grindy. And when I say extremely grindy, I talked about this off camera too. So this is a legendary. Let's talk about legendaries. So legendaries... Ooh, okay, so before I talk about legendaries, before I explain how awful it is, let's do the bad first. Let's do the bad. Let's talk about how you get a legendary. So this is Warbringer, okay? Now, I don't think this is the worst legendary to get in the game, but I think it's a great example of how grindy this is. So let's scroll down here a little bit. So here's what you have to do. All you need, you look at Warbringer, you look at its requirements. Hang on, let's scroll down so you can see it there, right there. This is the requirements for getting Warbringer. You get 1 Warcry, 1 Gift of Warfare, 1 Gift of Fortune, 1 Gift of Conquering. That's it. That's all it takes. In order to get Warcry, you need to get all of this crap, which requires being a commander, first and foremost, which costs either 250 Badge of Honor or 300 gold. And then you have to be a world rank of 350 and get, I think it's something like 2,000 some odd skirmish claim tickets. That's a lot. That's grindy as hell. I think so, Primarch, yeah. Because legendaries were in vanilla. Okay, that's grindy as hell. No problem. Now we got the Gift of Conquering. So first, we have to get a legendary spike. Good luck. Drops off of, drops randomly in WVW. Again, good luck. You need to get 4 Gift of Battles, which just means, it means a lot. Let's just summarize. There's a whole thing that goes into it, but yeah. Then you have to get 2 Vision Crystals, which costs all this stuff. Good luck. And then 250 Memory Battle, which means doing a whole lot of WVW. Okay, that's a whole lot of stuff. But it's okay, because now all we have to do is get 20 Powerful Blood, 50 Potent Blood, 250 Bloodstone, 1,000 Badges of Honor, 20 Ancient Bones, 50 Large Bones, 250 Imperial Fragments, 500 Testimonies of Jade Heroics, 20 Armored Scales, 50 Large Scales, 250 Dragonite Ore, 500 Memory Battle, 20, 50, 10 Globs of Dark Matter, and then 350 Skirmish Claim Tickets. Hang on, we're not done. Then we have the Gift of Fortune. Most of you are probably aware of this because this is actually for several things, which takes 250 Echoes, 77 Clovers, which this is how you get Clovers, a Gift of Magic, and a Gift of Might. This is actually Ironically, this is the cheapest thing in this entire thing, the Gift of Magic and the Gift of Might. And then you put all that together and you get this backpack. Woo! Legendaries, oh my god, they're designed to be massive time sinks, and they're designed to be economy movers. A lot of the in-game economy is shoved forward by people constantly trying to get new legendaries. Myself included, I do have one legendary. I'm actually quite proud of it. You see this prismatic aura on me? That's from my legendary. You're probably thinking, what's the benefit of legendary? Let's look at our gear. Gear in this game is a whole thing, and I don't want to go down that rabbit hole yet. Let's just specifically talk about legendary. Ignore all this. Ignore the fact that I don't have any gear on over there. Just pretend that's not there. So let's say I want to put on a helmet. Well, I only have that helmet in my inventory. In fact, I have mostly none stuff. So in other words, in order to put on a piece of gear, I know this sounds strange, I have to have that piece of gear in my inventory. I know that's shocking, but that's how that works. Unless you have a legendary. If I go down to my necklace thing, and notice I suddenly have this thing up here, Prismatic Champions Regalia. That's the necklace I have. That's the Prismatic Aura thing. And I just have that on every character forever. Do you understand? What getting a legendary does is it unlocks a piece of gear for that slot for everyone forever. That's one of the two main benefits of getting legendaries. The other benefit is, of course, the appearance. And since necklaces don't have appearance, that's why I have this Prismatic Aura. Now, there's actually several of cosmetic-y stuff, like legendary armor has like a thing going on. I hope I'll get to show that off at some point. And the legendary backpack I just mentioned has a whole extra side thing, stuff like that. But yeah, it's heritage gear, but like imagine if it's your best in slot, which is a good enough time as any to drift into talking about equipment, because I've already had several questions about how good it is. So gear is kind of strange in Guild Wars 2. Before we talk about gear, let's talk about levels, okay? Levels might as well not exist in Guild Wars 2. I legitimately think that they should just axe levels from the game. I think they serve no purpose at this point in the game. I think they should literally not exist. Because for all intents and purposes, they don't. Anybody who's played this game at all knows you probably only leveled one character, right? Maybe two. I actually can attest that I only leveled one. It's actually the one you're looking at. This is my original character when Guild Wars 2 launched. Yeah, it starts vertical, you get up to 80, and then everything else is horizontal, the whole rest of the game. 80 has been the cap since vanilla, and has never changed, and is never going to change. So, gear is one of the ways that changes. So you've got, what is it? It's like grays, whites, greens, I think? Or is it blues? I forget the order, but it's greens, then blues, or blues, then greens, then yellows. And yellows are pretty easy to come by. You'll probably have a bunch of yellow gear. Above yellows is oranges. Now, here's the fun thing. Oranges are perfectly fine. Oh my god, Slint. Oranges are perfectly fine gear. It's called exotic gear. There's nothing wrong with exotic gear, and honestly, that's right, it's greens. I knew it was weird. If you are playing this game and you have a full suit of exotic gear, which is orange, you're fine. As long as it has the right stats. That's a whole other thing. Not talking about that right now. But orange is the second best stat-wise gear in the game. The only thing better than that is Ascended, which is pink, right? Ascended gear, that's the cap. There's nothing better stat-wise than Ascended gear. I know what you're thinking. Well, what's a legendary? Legendaries have Ascended stats. So Ascended and Legendaries are, gameplay-wise, identical. Sense make? Now, there's a couple of asterisks to that, which I don't really want to go into, but you'll note, yeah, I was about to say, if you may or may not notice, that actually says account bound. This is why I don't have any of my jewelry on, because all of my jewelry is Ascended gear. And so all of my jewelry stays on only one character at a time. And as soon as I switch characters, I just pop it all off into my shared inventory, pull it back out on my new character, and then put it on my other character. And I haven't been playing this character lately, so that's why none of their jewelry is on. So Ascended gear is BOA, but you have to manually swap it, and it's the best gear in the game. Legendary is just a count. You just have it. So I could just have this necklace on everyone. One other little tidbit, though. I keep talking about stats. So there's stat blocks, right? Apothecaries, assassins, berserkers, and Valkyries, Berserkers, Bringers, Captains, Carrion, Cavaliers, Celestials, Clerics, Commanders. I'm not going to read all these out. There's all sorts of stat blocks, and they all focus on different spreads of the primary stats, okay? If you're playing this game for just the main story, which, by the way, I do recommend, don't worry about this. Either use a guide or pick Berserkers. You'll be fine. But anybody who wants to dig into this game, specific stat blocks are good for specific builds. Thus, one of the other benefits of Legendary is you can just swap its stats at will. Right now I have Valkyrie on this thing for my specific setup, but I can just switch it to Commanders or Carrion or whatever, just like that, right? So that's the other gameplay benefit of Legendaries. They're unlocked for your entire account for every character you're on, and you can just swap their stats at will. There's no cooldown on swapping. You just do it. Boom. And yeah, Soldiers and Celestial. Thank you. I couldn't remember the other ones. I knew there was other ones. Soldiers and Celestial are perfectly fine, too. Really, don't stress the gear, is really what I'm trying to get across. The gear is a rabbit hole. And the difference between, optimized gear and, like, basic leveling gear is actually huge, but doesn't matter for the majority of the content. That matters for, like, the high-end stuff. You want to get into to tiered fractals, which is kind of like Mythic Pluses over in World of Warcraft. If you want to get into raids, if you want to get into the really hard stuff, which is like the strike missions, sure, go ahead and focus on the gear and actually figure out your build and min-max. Don't worry about that too much. Now, there's actually one other thing. Since we're talking about gear, I should probably talk about runes. They very recently changed runes. You may or may not notice I actually don't have a relic on this character because that's how recently they changed this. So you may notice all of these have a rune in them. And in fact, it's all Rune of the Pack, which is all boon duration because that's specific for my build. Each of your basic inventory gears, head down to feet, all have a rune slot. That's 6 slots, and you can put runes into them. Most gear actually comes with a rune pre-baked. You have to buy an item with various things in order to be able to extract a rune. Generally speaking, you're going to hit the auction house and buy a rune. Good runes go for a couple of gold each, so they're not super cheap. But runes have set bonuses, which is what you see right there. Most builds are going to have 6 of 6 of some rune or another because it benefits that particular build really well. Like you see in this particular case, because they got Rune of the Pack for this setup. So runes is also part of that since it's percentage based. You also have sigils. In this case, I have Sigil of Force and Sigil of Air from my gun. And I would show off relics, but I don't have one on this character. Let me just switch characters really quick here. To my Mesmer. Sure, why not? Oh, okay, spoilers. Don't look at any of this. Don't look at any of this. None of this exists. We're looking at the floor. We're looking at the floor. All right, so. No, don't worry about it, Giga. Don't worry about it. Here's a relic. So here's a relic. Relics used to be runes. Now they were pulled out and put into their own equipment slot, as you can see here. Relics do like another extra thing. If you've ever played a Final Fantasy game, they're relics. They're accessories. They're the little extra things. Shut up, Giga. They're little extra things that you need that give you like another little boost. So in this case, upon striking an enemy with a weapon skill that has a recharge or a resource cost, gain increased strike damage. When this triggers, refresh duration of all stacks. Maximum stacks 5. I am in the temporary space loaner. So that's relics. You do want to think about that. So you've got your runes, which you'll notice I am actually not set up at all on her. I need to rejigger her at some point. You got your runes, you got your sigils, you got your relic. Okay. Now we're going to leave this area that we're totally not at. Wink. Switch back here. It's fine, Giga. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. So that's gearing. Like I said, for the purposes of what we're covering, gear almost doesn't matter. I am probably going to jot down an itemization. I'm also going to veto FF11 immediately. Done. It's vetoed forever and will never come back. Let's see. But I'm going to jot down a potential because, as we'll showcase, because I'm going to level a new character for this run. Gear is going to be shotgunned at you. A little bit too much, actually. In fact, let's jot down another itemization negative for loot shotgunning. It is 100% on your end, Dakota, or Twitch's end. It might be Twitch. I actually have a really steady connection here because I'm on fiber. Yay. What? Oh, okay. Sure, whatever. I accept. Why am I in a squad? Why am I in a squad? Why? Why? So, gear progression, we'll just put that there, and how little it matters. The cat, you missed it earlier, the cat came and was walking around on the desk. So I mentioned loot shotgunning. You'll see this in action, I'm sure. Let me check something. Hang on. Whoop. Let's see. Where's Octo? That's a good one. Oh, it just reset. Octavine just reset. Damn it. Well, this is a good time as any to talk about this negative. So let me go ahead and just say that I do actually really like events as a concept, and I love metas. Metas are what they call chained events, right? Where there's actually a story and a progression. And in several cases, metas can be MSQ, right? Their primary story. Probably the most infamous one is Dragon's Stand, which actually is starting in 4 minutes. You know, hang on. Do I have... There's... come on. Hang on. Weird place to start, but these are... The thing I like about these is that they're awesome. The thing I don't like about them is they're real-life timer-based. If I want to show this off at a specific point in time, sucks to be me. If I want to play it in the availability I have, sucks to be me. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. Oh, God, I hate that sound. Oh, okay. Gunplayer 3. And we'll put that towards Snufkin, Resident Evil block, and Cyberpunk. Thank you, Dragon Player. As always. And I gotta say thank you to Mr. Red. All these people giving me money. Quit it! You know what? No. I'll add FF11 to the list. Commit. So. Yeah, it looks like there's not even a commander. Oh wait, no, there is. There's one commander. Yeah, this probably isn't going anywhere. Okay. So this is probably not happening. Exactly, Rex. That's exactly what I was just thinking. Because we literally have unintentionally established precedents with Guild Wars 2. And yeah, let's merge in.
Wow, that's quality armor.
I did this with one mount, which was this one, actually. Oh, there. Oh God, yeah. The other day, it's like earlier this week. This was a part of the weekly, I want to say. And yeah, this place was absolutely swamped. Oh sure, just point me to the EverQuest MSQ, Ross. While we're waiting, let's talk about the vault. Okay, so I know I just said focus on the main game, and if you're really invested, then start doing all the extra stuff, right? 'Cause someone actually asked, how long does it take to get to endgame? There isn't really an end game in Guild Wars 2. Not in the strictest sense of the word. Not in the way you're usually thinking, because the way endgame usually works is you beat the MSQ, you unlock the final stuff, and then you start doing endgame stuff until the next expansion. In Guild Wars 2, the second you hit 80, you're pretty much... There we go. Spoilers! The moment you hit 80, you're actually good to go to start endgame. I wasn't on my mount. I'm an idiot. Yeah. I wasn't on my mount. Oh, I'm a noob. But yes, this game actually inspired the events system over in Dragonflight. Now, I'm going to be honest, I actually think Modern WoW does a better job of the event system, but of course it does, it's Modern WoW. Modern WoW is crazy good, as we've discussed. And they only got that good within the last, 2 years, so... Anyways. I mean, hell, dragon flying was directly inspired by this mount right here. So, anyways. Words. Wizard's Vault. So, Wizard's Vault, it has dailies, weeklies, and seasonals, okay? They call them specials. What they mean is season. You see 136 days remaining. Wizard's Vault stuff, it's go-do stuff, right? So, like, here's the stuff for the weekly. I actually still need to kill 2 champions for the weekly. Here's the daily stuff. Oh god, I need to do that. I need to defeat 10 enemies in the heart of Baguma. I don't think I'm going to be able to manage. I guess I'll go this way. Yeah, it's like Trading Post, but like a little bit more common, and it's gameplay relevant stuff instead of cosmetic stuff. So for those of you who know the Trading Post, you know that that's 100% cosmetic. All of that stuff is just outfits and like mounts and skins and stuff like that, right? I actually have a new build for this character. I haven't gotten the gear for it yet, so it's not ready to go. Anyways, but Wizard's Vault. Do I have that bound? I do. Shift H. Sure, whatever. The Wizard's Vault, you do dailies, you get daily, you get a thing. First of all, let me recommend doing this every day if you can. I know that's awful to recommend that, but if you're invested in the game, you will benefit from it, because first of all, it gives you a gold. And even a gold a day is actually a pretty solid amount of time. Second of all, the Wizard's Vault rotates every season, which again is, I think, 4 months, and buys you actual gameplay benefits. Why are we going down? We don't want to go down, do we? Where are you Yahoos going? What? Okay, hang on. There we go. Your sky scale, I'm actually not a huge fan of sky scales, to be totally honest with you. It really takes some finagling. Oh, but I did recently get this. You probably couldn't even tell that fireball was me. Agreed. Yeah, the sky scale could use a rework, honestly. Like, I get what they were going for, but honestly, the Griffin is frankly a better implementation of the same concept, because the Griffin's awesome. The Griffin isn't actually a flying mount, it is a gliding mount, but it is a very fast gliding mount, especially if you're in a zone with some verticality, and there's plenty of those in this game. Anyways, with the Wizard's Vault, here's the rewards. Now, obviously, hang on, so there's Legacy Rewards, which is all cosmetic-y stuff. This is all cosmetic-y stuff. That's whatever, don't care. This is the big stuff right here. This is how you get Ascended Armor nowadays. This is how you get Ascended Weapons nowadays. Reminder, Ascended Armor and Weapons are bind on account, so they can be swapped between characters, and they have the best stats available. This is how you can get gold. This is how you can get the starter to get your legendary, which pretty much cuts the requirements for getting a legendary in half. Just straight up. Downside? The downside is that you can only get whatever those are. So, like, right now, it's Frenzy, Minstrel, Sunrise, or Rod God. I'm sure a lot of people are making Sunrise right now. You can get Mystic Coins, you can get Tombs of Knowledge, that's levels. You can get Revive Orbs, that's exactly what it sounds like. You can get Build Storage Expansions, you can build Template Expansions. Upgrade Extractors, that's how you pull relics out of gear. Bags of Laurels, that's a currency. Mystic Clovers, that's for legendaries. Luck, that's a whole other thing, don't worry about that. You get it. So, there is a lot of gameplay benefit in addition to cosmetic-y benefit for bothering with the Vault. It has been improved, it's worth noting. Where is Commander? There he is. Oh yeah, if you don't have the mastery, don't come down here, because you'll die.
Thanks for the assistance. We'll come to the back to camp.
We should farm resing this guy for achievements. Anyways. Oh, I'm sorry, Plate to fall. I didn't realize you were here, honestly. What idiots followed me here? This is literally the final story quest for Heart of Thorns. That's not actually a joke. This is the big epic finale. Or rather, it's half of it. Thank you for the sub, Walker. As always. I know, it's my fault. I deserve it, Giga Pudding. I'm a moron. Let me write down Walker's thing here really quick. Boards. Expedition. 33. FF7R1 and Chained Echoes. So map. Okay. This is a hectic time to ask me about the map. Oh, that pop-up would go away. This pop-up is going to be here until you finish leveling in an expansion you've barely touched. Little pro tip. Hang on. Let's go ahead and scooch over here. I'm gonna follow the commander. Statistically speaking, it's usually a good idea to follow the commander. Not always. Anybody can buy a commander tag, but statistically speaking, they're supposed to know what they're doing. Okay. Ow. Ow. Thanks for that. Thanks for that. What is he doing? I don't even care. So, map, right? If you zoom way out, all of a sudden the player icons get a lot more visible. So there's Bragwin right there. I can see her. She's in Metrica Province right there. See? In fact, whoever that is, I actually don't know who that is way up there in the Snowden drifts. Oh, I'm being attacked by something. It's 300 gold. And yeah, that's a huge chunk of change to just troll. Don't even try, Braven. And that is my honest answer. I can actually show you the route. Check this out. So, hang on. God, where are you? Okay, you're here. So you would have to go up, and then over, and then up, and then over, and then down, and then right, and then go through hell, and then down, and then you'd be here. Don't even try. Don't even try. Hasn't sold yet, Walker. Yeah, just go through multiple confusing valleys of death of the worst zones in the game. I will admit, my opinion on Heart of Thorns is, like, kind of mixed. Because on the one hand, it's hell. But on the other hand, there's some cool stuff there. But on the third hand, it's hell. I'll show that off more when we get there. Since we're just standing here collecting things, let's talk about the map. So the map is simultaneously pretty good and pretty bad and pretty awful. And really great. So what you may or may not see... Oh, you actually can't see right now. Hang on. What is attacking me? Stop it. Quit it. I'm trying to talk here. Get up on this thing. There. Him. So what you may or may not see here... oh my god. The Tangled Depths. The unmitigating... Just look at it. Just look at it. Soak it in. Soak it in. I have 100% of this zone, so I've earned my right to hate this place, okay? I also do Chak semi-frequently. I don't even remember why. There's some reason. I think it's to get amalgamated gemstones. It is definitely... Like, this is so much worse than it looks. This is... Oh, yeah. Chak Infusion, that's the other thing. This is so much worse than it looks like. We'll just move on from that. So let's do like a starter zone. This is the starter zone for humans right here. Hang on, come on, scooch. There we go. Did you notice that? Oh, we're in the escort. God damn it. Okay. It's my fault for doing the end of Heart of Thorns first. Like a doofus. I haven't even gotten anything from this yet. Look at this. I've gotten a muscle. Get out of my inventory. Boop. This is my least favorite character to play in the entire game. That's why I need to change the build on this thing, because while this build is extremely good, it is so goddamn boring. This is the build right here. 3, 3, 3, dodge roll, 1. That's it. That's the entire rotation. It's like a truck. And it has vampirism. And it does a bunch of debuffs. And it, I think it buffs me too. I forget the specific buff it gives me. There's actually, it doesn't actually, I don't have to dodge roll. The important thing is to stealth. You see how I'm stealth right now? When you gain stealth in this setup, your next basic attack is a big old nuke. And it's bigger the more of the, you see the sparks above my health? The more of those I have, the bigger that nuke is. Everything I've got is designed around making that big hit as hard as possible. I could just sit there and tank a boss. Yeah, the minimap is actually pretty good in this game. We will talk about the map, and like I said, it's going to be overall... Whoops, wrong button. Overall pretty positive, because I actually like the map in this game, especially because, not just because it's pretty, because it's very functional. In almost every part of the game, you can tell what you're looking at, where you need to go, and how to get there, and where everything is, just like that, right? I mean, now, look at the minimap right now. That looks pretty busy, but you notice there's a lot of color distinction going on, too. Nice, big, orange, like... The painted aesthetic is all over the place in Guild Wars 2. Nice big orange circle. That's the event range, so there's an event happening here. Nice big blue spot. That's our waypoint. Nice big obvious green things. That's where your gathering points are, right? Yeah, there's a lot of little design being done on the visuals of that minimap to make it pop. It's actually pretty damn good. Now the thing is, I'm not going to give any special positives or negatives to the minimap because the minimap is just the map. But the map is going to get plenty of positives. Because if you just look at it, you can see all kinds of stuff here. Whoop, hang on. Who's hitting me? Who's hitting me? Are we... Nope. Oh, yeah. I just realized. I could mount up. Alright, Giga. Hop on. Hop on, you know you want to. Do it, Giga. Ah, someone else got in. Oh, well, that's fine. Yeah, I don't really have control over who takes the slot. These are two-seater mounts. They're tanks. Literally, you may or may not see those cannons on my back. Yeah, that the second player is aiming those cannons. I stomp. And pilot. I can also fly a little bit. Whee. Oh, hi, Bladeball. So, right now we're waiting for the other lanes to do their thing. We're actually doing pretty good for how little people are here. It's like 20 people. We're doing a decent job. Sorry I'm kind of shotgunning info, but... Do we have another commander? Oh, we do. We actually have two other guys. We actually have a commander in each one. Nice. Oh, there we go. Nuke it! In the face. Let's get out of that. Yeah, I might actually call this the review of Dragon Stand, because, again, it's all, like, real-life timer-based, and that may or may not line up with the feasibility of stream time, so we'll just kind of skip ahead to the end of Heart of Thorns here. So this is the big battle against the final boss of Heart of Thorns. Whoop, 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 whoop. Come on. Spoilers. We fight the big boss and kill him. Yeah, never stand on those lines. So this is actually a bigger pro tip. This is really true in Heart of Thorns and in Path of Fire both. If you see those like burning lines on the ground, they will kill you in seconds. I don't care how tanky you are; they will murder you.
Once I have enough, we best hurry.
Just don't stand in them.
Stay quiet for long.
God, this thing. I love the turning radius on this thing. I'm just drifting. I'm just drifting on my turtle. All right, so scrap now. Let's go ahead and actually grab some stuff here. Yeah, nobody likes the zoomies. So back in the day, you're probably wondering, how do you have such a vertical zone without flying mounts? This is how. Those mushrooms. There's also the ley lines, which I think I actually don't have. And of course, there's the glider, which Heart of Thorns introduced. You don't really need it like you used to.
You honor me.
That is, you can just do this. Yeah, fun fact, the only reason I don't have a second legendary is because I need to level every mastery to max in Maguma, in Heart of Thorns. And god, that's just such a pain to do. It's so grindy. Like, it's the worst kind of grind, because you don't get a lot of experience out there. Even doing big metas, you just do not get that much experience. Oh, that's funny, Wenlock. Oh yeah, nowadays, we'll show this off on the Elementalist, because that's going to be my new character. But you also get achievements for doing really basic stuff. So, I mentioned this before, Guild Wars 2 tracks, like, everything by achievements. And... and so that's one of the ways they do a new tutorial now for new players. It's like dodge an attack, use a combo ability, finish a heart, you know, just to kind of ease new players in a little bit.
He should serve us well.
This foliage is conspiring to kill us.
And there's my daily. Boom. I'll take that. Oh hey, got a homestead recipe. Oh yeah, I should not open these. Sorry. Because the whole thing that started this was I want to show you the loot shotgunning. Yeah, pretty much everything you do does achievements. The easiest way to explain it is achievements is how they track stuff. If you want to, like, even crafting legendaries is technically an achievement thing. Gaining access to recipes is an achievement thing. Getting access to certain mechanics, like for example, I can't equip spears right now because there's an achievement I haven't done yet for that. Stuff like that. Spears are apparently really good, and I totally want one, but that's an expansion I haven't done yet. Yeah, I know. The last expansion I did was End of Dragons, which I loved. I even 100%ed End of Dragons. Like, I've got the gift of it. But I backed away for various real-life, time-related reasons. Ugh. And I've just fallen behind. Also, in my defense, End of Dragons wasn't that long ago.
Light that signal fire. They'll drop pain on our...
Yeah, exactly, Zint. I still have to do... What is it? It's Janthier and Secrets? Or Obscure? I forget. It's the two. It's the two. And I still haven't done them. Like, I can actually show you, because, like, I have 22 freaking masteries up here, and I've only barely started flight training. And I can't even access Internatus, and I can't access anything in Janthier. Yeah. I've leapfrog a little bit to get a couple of things started, but that's it. Mostly dailies, because so many of the dailies and weeklies are up there. So that's why I have anything up there at all. Yeah, I actually am homeless, canonically. I'm one of the most revered, venerated people in the entire setting. But I'm also homeless. Canonically. What? For what? What have I done? Where did this come from? What have I not done? Got me a mastery point. Oh. Yeah, we're in middle. Right. So they added... I remember this. So after, when I used to farm Dragon Stand, they added an achievement for doing each of the lanes. I remember this because I actually did the right lane, or the south lane, just like last week for a meta, or rather for a weekly. It was the one I was just referencing. And I specifically remember getting a mastery from that. Yes, I did, Mr. Red. Sorry. You caught me at an interesting time. Let me tell you a little bit of a hint for keeping up with metas, because this is a meta, right? This is actually a great showcasing of what a meta is. It's not the best meta in the game, but honestly, all three of the dragon metas are pretty good, I would say. But the thing is, if you fall behind, good luck. Some of them you could catch back up on. Some of them, good luck. you don't want to fall behind. So I don't want to die. We'll talk about death and turbo death later. Because this game has, in my opinion, one of the best res systems in MMOs. FF14 comes close, but still isn't quite to the level of awesome. Oh, by the way, that's the red stuff on the ground. Do not be on those red lines. They will kill you. I know, fire bad. Shocking. There's also a dodge roll in this game. That's a good time as any to talk about that. So the dodge roll is pure iframes. While you're dodging, you are invincible. And that's how the game is designed. However, you can use the dodge roll just to get out of an area, too, because it is a little bit faster than just running, in some cases, unless you have, like, a dash or a sprint or a whatever. There's a bunch of stuff like that. I don't think I have one on this character. I could, but I don't. Get out of frickin' fire! So, if you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see my health. That's the 15,335. Just above that is a yellow bar. Do you see that? And there's two things right there. Those are my 2 stamina pips. So here, watch. Boop. Notice how it starts regenning pretty much immediately. But you can see the regen rate. So that's about how many dodges you get per however many seconds. There are certain things that increase the rate of that or give you extra dodges or whatever. Some actual abilities kind of have a dodge baked in. A lot of stuff is asterisked by the fact that builds really can change how you play. So everything I say about, like, here's how this works, probably has an asterisk of, unless you're this specific build. So just keep that in mind for the entire run, okay? Now, I finished a wizard roll. What did I finish? Oh, the weekly. Boop. Do 1 fractal. Nah, I'm good. I actually don't mind fractals, but you can't really 2-man fractals. And I only know 1 other person that plays this game on the regular. So we've 2-manned the overwhelming majority of this game, and let me tell you, getting the strike mission to get this mount was hell. Just absolute hell. Oh, and we're good. Bam. No, I'd rather do them with turbo death characters, Giga. But I will do them before we get to Zaitan, definitely, for obvious reasons. Availability. So right now, doing dungeons is what I consider bonus points. I would like to show off the dungeons. But as I've pointed out many, many times, I need players to do that. So if I have players that, and like players are on, that's going to get priority. And we're going to boost, we're going to focus on that. So as soon as we finish Dragon's Stand, we might actually go and do the dungeons first, which is going to feel weird, but whatever. Because I know several people are on right now. Oh man, screw that, Lint. I just go out and gather my own crap. It is extraordinarily rare I will hit the auction house for something. What are fractals? So if you've played WoW, you're probably most familiar with them. The, oh, actually, are we fighting him? What are we doing up here? I'm not paying attention at all. Oh, we're getting materials. Right. Supplies, don't mind me. Stealth. Yep, sure. Let me just grab these. Oh god, I got you. Oh, I don't got you. I didn't have you. Let's pop this really quick. Of course I have Spectral Agony. Why wouldn't I? Oh, Jesus Christ. This is bad. Get me out of here. I can't. Why am I still on fire? Stop being on fire. I want to res that person. Let me res that person. Go away, spit. Please. Oh, hang on. Looks like they can do it over here. There we go. Get up. Yeah, Mythic Plus, but a lot easier, is actually a really good explanation of what fractals are. They are functionally dungeons. They are pseudo... Oh my god. I just got... Okay, I'm dead. So this is Turbo Death. Hey, I get to show it off. Okay, so you'll notice that when you go down, you have a different ability bar that allows you to do different things. I'm going to release before someone gets themselves killed trying to res me. And so you can do stuff, right? And you could do a couple of things to try and still participate in the fight. Great idea, by the way. Great granular difficulty. I'll give that all kinds of positives when we get there. But when you die, like when you go to what Pax and I call turbo dead, you're just gone. And at that point, you can be res, but it's a lot longer and a lot harder. You know what? Actually, this is probably closer. And you at that point, it's a whole thing. It's also worth noting, each additional player resing increases the res speed substantially. I don't know the exact numbers. I used to, forgive me. But I know it's not like 2 players res at 2 times the speed. It's more like 2 players res at 2.5 times, and then 3 players res at like 4 times, etc., etc.
You can watch my back.
So, that's what fractals are, that's what resing is, that's what death is, and turbo death. Each class has different abilities when they're downed. In my opinion, Mesmer's one of the best for being downed, which is appropriate, because Mesmer dies all the time. I'm joking.
Watch them do their work, though. Just beautiful. Mordrema never saw those coming.
As Colgrim, I think it was, mentioned earlier, every class can be a healer and every class can be a tank at this point in time. In fact, Pax is currently working on a setup in order to turn his warrior into a healer. Like that's just where we're at right now with the builds. So it's not so much everyone has res as res is regardless of class. The way you res is you walk up to someone and you hit use, which in my case is bound to F. I don't remember if that's default. I bound it to F because that's like the default use thing in a lot of games. Shut up, tutorials. God. Whoop, getting turned around. Hang on. This way, I think. Yep, there we go. You just walk up to someone and you tap F. That's it. That's how you res someone. Ooh, birthday cakes. Yeah, there are, as I said this earlier, everything I say has the asterisk of your build can change how you play the game. But the default is you walk up to someone, you hit F, boom. In fact, I could probably show this. I'm going to die right on Giga here, okay? Giga, I'm so sorry. Oh, so see, I'm turbo dead. Now notice how much longer it takes to res someone from turbo dead than dead. In dead, it takes a couple of seconds, even from full down. But you notice the health bar raises, and I'm back up. Boom. Serum Magister. That's turbo dead. And you notice I didn't have a bar. Nothing I could do while I was turbo dead. Yes, Game Geek. And at the moment, we're technically showing off the finale of Heart of Thorns, because timing. Okay, we're up to this step. Let's go ahead and do this. You see what I mean, by the way? I mentioned this earlier. Nobody uses Brandon. Oh, it did! It did! God, I guess I just haven't done the other lanes since they added masteries to all these. No, there's no debuff for dying. Oh, well, okay. Hang on. There actually is a debuff for dying, sorry. Thank you, Colgrim, for reminding me. So, there's no debuff for turbo dying. However, if you go down 3 times in, I don't remember the time frame, you stay down. You go to turbo dead. You're dead. That's it. You may or may not have noticed, because I died several times earlier, that each time I died with less health. As in, so when you die, like that person right there, do you see their health? It's hard to see, but right there, do you see how they have a little bit of health? At a certain, so you start off like here, right? And then here, and at that point, you're pretty much dead. There are, as usual, there's asterisks to all of this. But yeah, you don't want to just graveyard mulch, right? The game doesn't want you to just graveyard mulch. There are ways to push back against that, and if you manage to stay alive for a bit, that kind of gets pushed up a little bit. The only thing I don't like about this build is it has no AoE whatsoever. This is a boss cracker build. This just kills things. This is a tank and kill things build. Are there gear repairs? No, there is no durability. However, there is a buff that I recommend absolutely everyone get, which is called Reinforced Armor. It lasts for 12 played hours. And you'll notice I've already turbo died, so you can see it persists through death. When I say played hours, I don't mean real life hours. I mean you have to play that character for 12 hours before you lose that buff. Go get it. Go get it. It's a good buff. It raises your health and armor. There's zero reason not to get that. Every repair station NPC in the game that used to be a repair person now gives you that buff. Go get that buff. So, yes, every class's downed bar is pretty much the same. I'm going to try to get downed here, just to kind of show off thieves. I don't like thieves that much. I'm just not getting hit for some reason. Please do damage to me, Mordremoth. Who's Mordremoth? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll talk about the lore of what's happening here later. Really, we will. Right now, just accept this event exists and is kind of cool. They didn't hit me. They didn't hit me. Please. Of course Mordremoth likes me. I know, I've been looking at my buffs. I've got 25 stacks of might right now. Who the hell is buffing me? Jesus. Oh.
I will not perish here.
Thank you for the sub, Polka Sweater. Giga? What building? Oh my god. Look at all the Necros in the party. I just looked at our party composition. We have, like, a cavalcade of Necros. I can't say anything. The closest thing I have to a main is a Reaper. Because of course there is. Because I love Reaper. I do. It's not just a good class. In fact, arguably there are other classes that are better. It's just the funnest class for me. I love playing as Reaper. Oh, we're about to play Ring Around the Rosie? Yeah, looks like we are. This is a good class for this. I love playing my Guardian, but there's one big problem with my Guardian. I am a full buff support healer Guardian, right? My total DPS in a Guardian is like 400. In a game where you can easily hit in the tens of thousands. I cannot solo on my Guardian. I will probably be taking my Guardian to the dungeons when we do those. Oh, I might go down. I'm ready. I'm ready. Bring it. Oh, we have to break her first. Oh, it's okay. I went down. Okay, so my number 1 is a basic attack. My number 2 is a unique thing, and I've already lost it. It's already gone. It's already gone. That's hilarious. I mean, Reapers are a good class. But, Minions Mancers are just ridiculous. Necros are a good class. Might actually be a better way to phrase that. Okay. So... do you have any teleport to players, Fragwin? Because those are your best friend. Are they givable? They are account bound. Damn. Yeah, I've got like 100-something of them spread out on my characters. I also have the infinite one. It's one of the purchases I made, which I do not regret at all.
They can repair them.
I might as well get the hero points while I'm here. Why not? Or not. Okay, that's cool too. Notice all these chests I keep opening, by the way? Just keep this in mind. Remember, the whole point I was actually originally showing this off was to show off loot. Okay. I've been deliberately not looking at my inventory. You'll see why. But we're done. We did our wing. We might be full, Primarch. By the way, each zone has a player cap, as in how many players can be in the zone. It almost never matters, but it matters for every single meta. Are we already there? Oh, nice. Okay. So, I'm going to tell you a little bit of story. Just a tiny bit. What we're doing right now is we're fighting a dragon named Mordremoth. But the thing is, he's a unique dragon, in that he has a body and a mind. And I know that sounds like, well, yeah, most people do, lore. But no, I mean, they're two very distinct entities. So the only way to actually do anything against Mordremoth is to go after both simultaneously.
Those islands are condensed ley energy. Keep the mouth of Mordremoth from absorbing all the ley energy. Spread out. Don't let it seize those islands.
So, yeah, that's him talking to us right now. So, what we're doing here is we're fighting his body. When we do the MSQ later, we'll be fighting his mind. Make sense? So this event is canonically happening at the exact same time as the end of the MSQ. So there's his body. If there's one thing Guild Wars 2 does well, it is scale. You probably think you have an idea of how big that is. Let me get a little closer. So he's like 100 feet out there. By the way, I just want to be clear, just because some people might actually, correct me on this. I understand that this actually isn't his body. We'll talk about the specifics of the lore later. Let's save the in-depth lore explanation for later. All you need to know is right now we're attacking his body, and that's it. Moving on. And yeah, Kralkatorrik. That's all I have to say to that. Kralkatorrik is just holy crap. Honestly, I think Zaitan is the only one that didn't impress me. Hey, Humanization, give me 1 second. I'm falling behind on donations because I'm trying not to die out here. Oh shoot, I accidentally switched. I want to be on my gun. There we go. That's a nice close-up shot of that guy. You may have noticed that we all just died. So let's zoom back here. Oh yeah, Zaitan is dinky compared to the other ones. Kralkatorrik is ridiculous. And of course, we'll talk about Primordus and Jormag when we get there. So I don't have the ability to glide in those yet, so I have to get off my mount and then on my mount. Irritant tax until I level that. Coming, I got you. Pro tip, if you're a DPSer and you try to figure out which buff food to get the one that says steak. Whichever one says steak, there's a pretty good chance that's good for you.
Focus on the mouth of Mordor. Break its resolve. Group 2, grab a mortar shell from the wrecked chopper. Catch a ride on an updraft and attack. The rest of you, clear out those Mordrum snipers.
Yep. So now we got to make sure that he doesn't actually bite the island, which will permanently destroy the island.
Don't let up yet.
Which we did, of course. Broke him instantly. Did you see that? Jesus.
Nice work. Don't let up yet.
One thing I don't like about this build is it only really works when you mark someone. Mark has a 15-second cooldown and can go away for a number of essentially buggy reasons. Because of how enemies are coded, especially bosses. It's easy to tell if you have a markup, because if you have an F2 button at all, you have a markup. If you don't, you don't. So, well, that just happened. So I have this thing called a glider. I mean, I also have a flying mount, but the glider is how you're supposed to do this. Because remember, the flying mounts didn't exist when this event came out. I have actually done this event without a sky scale, or a griffin for that matter. Oh.
Here's our chance. On it now.
Oh! Okay, so my number 2, I think, yep, that's my teleport. Just gotta scooch out of... Oh, come on, I just moved! Your number 4 is always your self-res. You can only self-res if you don't take damage. The moment you take damage, you suddenly get a cooldown on your 4 ability. It's channeled, by the way. I agree, Dragon Stand is awesome. Guild Wars 2, one of the things it does very well is it continues to make most of its older content relevant. Where are we going next? So
Tearing apart the islands. Destroy them quickly.
that's actually a more complicated answer than you'd think, Lunarith. So the sky scale I have was the result of literal months of effort and grinding and getting several hundred gold, and it was a whole thing. It was a colossal hassle and a huge amount of time and investment. However, nowadays, pretty much, Ross, nowadays, from what I understand, if you go to the expansion I haven't been to yet, they just are like, hey, here's a free sky scale. Now, it's a little bit, well, I don't want to say nerfed, but it's like, it's not as good as it could be. Come on, revive. Okay, get out of there, get out of there. And, the mastery track for that sky scale gives you some things, and it gives you, like, it basically gives you bonuses if you already got a sky scale, which is where I'm at. But yeah, it's like a sky scale light, from what I understand. So you can still get a sky scale without spending months in order to grind for it.
Should drive it off that island.
Where are we at? Oh, there we go. Over there. Over there.
Don't let Adrian shield the others.
AJ Palmer. Yeah. I am... Actually, if you were paying attention earlier, I am currently leveling flight training, which is the sky scale, so I'm getting the full benefits of everything. It actually says right here, learn to spring off walls with your sky scale, which you've actually seen me do. If you already have this from the other thing, this then charges faster and launches farther. And that's what I'm working on right now. Yeah, fun fact, you're the first person to notice I'm actually in uniform today. Turns out, months ago, old lore, back in the past, he actually put a spare suit, one. I have one spare shirt and one spare coat into the luggage that he knew he'd be carrying with him. Come on. There we go. So this would be the spare. Yes, all mount stuff is pure account. Just like mastery stuff is pure account. Yeah, this game is actually very alt-friendly. It's one of the reasons why I wish they would just pull the trigger and get rid of leveling. Oh. Yeah, birthday gifts. I'll show off in a minute why I'm not worried about leveling new characters. I think I have something like 200 levels banked in books. Never mind the specific ones that just boost you to 20 or 50 or whatever. Where is he? There it is. He's pretty big, yeah. Unless we're fighting him around a colossal tree that's the size of, like, Yggdrasil over there. I would say this is the most alt-friendly. Followed by WoW. Followed by... Let me think about that for a second.
Don't let the creature get away. Up the tree, quickly.
I mean, the microtransactions are just the worst in Guild Wars 2. Let's just get that out of the way.
No need. It's dying. We got it.
It's almost like the main characters are doing something in the other half of this fight. In fact, I'm pretty sure we'll actually see this same cutscene later when we do the story side of this. By the way, one of the masteries I have, you may notice I haven't looted anything. That's because loot just auto-teleports into my inventory. Well, I can just do this over here. That isn't true for every chest in the game, it's worth noting. There are some specific ones you gotta loot, but there's actually a mastery. I'll show it up here. I think it's Pact Commander Advanced Logistics. You now have the option to have loot from creatures you defeat be deposited automatically into your inventory. You also gain a swiftness bonus in cities. Anyways, that was Dragon's Stand. Alright, so, alt-friendliness. So, Guild Wars 2, then WoW. In different ways, it's worth noting. I'm kind of torn on the next one. I think I will go with FF14 with an asterisk, because you don't actually make alts in FF14, you just make another class. And there are asterisks there. So,
Fight cannot be fought.
okay, is there something to loot? Is there something to loot? There is. Okay, so everyone make sure you loot this chest, because this is one of the ones you have to manually loot. Okay, so you see that nonsense in my inventory? It's worth noting Path of Fire really smoothed this out. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to leave group. Then I'm going to do this. Go back to Gandharan. Back to my home field here. Tor handles alts by saying, if there's nothing that I'm going to support you to do an alt whatsoever. However, there's a different story. Get away from the terrible noise that I hate. Alright, so. Oh god, I know, Lint. So let's talk about the event first. Let's review the event, because that is content that we are going to review. So first and foremost, that was awesome. That is MSQ. We're going to call that MSQ, because it is. Hang on, Spartan. Ask me later. Ask me off camera. Ask me off camera. I just want to make sure. Dragon's Stand it's fun, it's rewarding, it's decent progression. It's probably, I would say, the worst of the big dragon metas. But that's not saying much, because it's still got great spectacle, and it's still fun, and it's still story relevant, and I still like the idea of it. The whole point of this, I know I was kind of rushing through that to keep up, but the whole point of this narratively is that that is an entire army which is pushing into an entire forest, which is all fighting back against you, all at the same time, right? They're all just... and so that's why we have to split into 3 lanes. That's why we have to carve our way through those giant... the vines and the creatures that are defending everything. That's why there's certain areas you can't even reach unless you have certain masteries. That's why when we get to the final area, the final tree right there, which is where its brain was, we had to like work our way across these. If you're wondering why there's islands floating in the air, don't worry about it. We'll talk about the story later. There is a narrative reason for it. There's a narrative reason for a lot of things in this game. But Dragon's Stand, I think, is pretty legit. So we're going to give that a plus. Let's give it 2. Let's give it 2 pluses. And narratively speaking, I do love the spectacle of it, if nothing else. So we'll put that there for Dragon's Stand. Alright. Love the spectacle. Alright. So, back in the day, inventory used to be even worse than it is now. I still think it's pretty bad, to be quite honest with you. And to emphasize a little bit of why, let me show you my currency tab. So here's the currencies of the game. And 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 here's the currencies of the game. Now here's the worst part. Almost all of these are useful for something. This is, by the way, this is after a reduction that's already happened. I forget when they did that. Almost all of these are useful for something. What that is, that's what the wiki is there for. So like, you know, the volatile, that I'm actually going to use that when I make my legendary. The unbound, I'm going to use that too. Vials of Chak acid, that's for an unrelated thing down the depths. Leyline crystals, that's for a thing. Exalted keys, that's for doing octavines. Lumps of beryllium, that's for building. I'm going to be using that for my legendary. Bandit crests, Zephyrite, geodes. Hey, there's my claim tickets, the ones I need like 2,000 of. The really, 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 really big ones, I would say, the only ones I would actually worry is... Oh god, I hate research. I hate research so much. Research was the dumbest idea they ever had. Sorry, moving on. The ones I would really worry about if you're a new player. Obviously, gems and coins, duh. Karma's nice. I wouldn't worry about it. You'll notice I've got 1.5 million just lying around. You're going to be swimming in karma. Don't worry about it. Spirit shards are extremely helpful for making high-end stuff. Laurels are extremely helpful for making high-end stuff. And honestly, past that, I wouldn't worry too much about any of this except for volatile magic. Because volatile magic is used in a lot of things. I know, Zlint. You just made me hate the process. So that's currency. Little bloated. Little bloated. And again, pretty much all of this is useful, and that's almost the problem, is because it's like, okay, what do I use this for? What do I use this for? Allow me to give you a little bit of the philosophy I've had for a long time. This is true for any MMO, not just this one. Just kind of do whatever and gather everything and don't really stress it until you decide you want something. Once you have a goal, then you reverse engineer. Okay, what do I need for that? And there's a decent chance you've got part of the way there already just because you've been doing stuff, right? But this, inventory, yes, let's talk about this. This is the biggest inventory I have. You can have much bigger than this. I haven't really invested in bigger bags because bigger bags are expensive. But okay, let's zoom in a little bit. Let's make sure that you can't see this dancing Giga over there. So this used to be much worse, okay? What used to happen is you would get almost every event, enemy, boss, chest in the game all gave different types of bags, and each of those bags gave basically the same crap. So you would have an inventory filled with bags that your inventory would just be crammed with, and you'd be having difficulty emptying in order to then mulch the stuff. Yeah, sometimes you would literally open a bag and get other bags. This is not a joke. Now, they did a polishing pass in Pathify where they invented 3 things, which are great. You actually have seen them on my screen if you're paying attention. It's these 3 right here. Pieces of common unidentified gear, pieces of unidentified gear, and pieces of rare unidentified gear. They condensed a lot of the bags and bags of bags into these 3. Blue, green, yellow. Make sense? Now, all that other stuff still drops, but nowadays it's a lot easier to mulch through, especially since you have this button called Use All, which I'm going to use a couple of times. So, hang on. Let's go through all the bags we just got. Let's go through all the bags we just got. Hang on, because we just got a bunch. Whoops, whoops, whoops. I can actually get rid of those. That's an event item. Use all. Use all. Use all. Always, if you get one of these choices ofs, let me give you a bit of a tip. Always take amalgamated gemstones. There's only so many sources of those in the entire game, and these chests are the most reliable source by far. You're probably thinking, why? These are for making legendaries. You'll notice I only have 26 of them. Now, granted, I have already made a legendary, but I need another 100, I want to say, for the next one I'm going to make. So, there's a little pro tip for the day. Always get those amalgamated gemstones. Yeah, even if you don't make legendaries, they sell very well. In fact, here. No, let me come back to that. Let me keep opening chests. So we got these 5. And I think that's actually it. So, nope. I got some chests out of chests. I didn't even notice. There we go. Okay, now that's everything. So I've opened all the chests. Look at all this trash in my inventory, okay? Pro tip number 2. At the top of your inventory, you see these 3 buttons. There's options, there's compact, and most importantly of all, there's deposit all materials. Boom. Deposit all materials takes everything that's a material that you don't have maxed. Takes every material that you aren't currently full on in the bank and just dumps them into your bank for free. Okay, that's actually kind of hard to talk over. Hang on. There we go. So I'm still left with a bunch of crap, okay? So now I gotta sort through all this crap. Now the good news is, I've played this game before, so I know what I'm doing. The bad news is, let's just say you just did Dragon Stand for the first time, and your name is Bladefall, and you have no idea what to do with any of the garbage you just got. So let's go ahead and go down the list. You've got grays. Anything that says trophy, that's either vendor food or it's for a specific achievement. Don't worry about that. Vendor. You've got gear. Anything below blue, don't even worry about it. Sometimes it'll say something like right there. This item only has value as part of a collection. Good news. Just by looting that, you got the item for the collection. That's another achievement thing. Don't worry about that. Some of these say salvage. You can salvage those. Unless you know what you're doing, I wouldn't bother. Some of them are actually extremely valuable to salvage. Some of them are actually just a waste of salvage usage. Remember, salvage kits are usage. They cost to make them, right? If you get a green, you can mulch that if you want. If you got a blue, you can mulch that. If you get an orange... What did I get there? Axe. I'm going to hold on to that, because I think I actually could use that on someone else. But anyways, oranges, that's separate, because remember, oranges is the second best gear in the game. You can mulch oranges, there's nothing wrong with that. And so now, okay, so let's do a little bit of sorting really quick. I'm just going to switch characters really quick here. That's a good question, Lineruth. So it's really, really simple, actually. Here we go. If you have, let's say, so okay, you're 80. Let's just assume you're 80. Because enemy before 80 doesn't matter. Don't even think about gear until you're 80. Don't think about it. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. Throw it out the window. So you're 80. Congrats. If it's, if it goes gray, white, blue, I think, green, yellow, orange, pink. That's your scale. That's better. That's it. Now, asterisk, this asterisk keeps being here for specific builds, certain specific stat plots are better. Sometimes a sigil's really worth pulling out. Sometimes there's like a cosmetic you really want. But if you're just playing through the game and you're just going through the campaign, that's it. Just think about the color. And if it says 80 on it. Like there, boom. 80 orange, right? Boom, done. Okay, so let's pull that out here. And pull that out here. I'm just gonna bank that. I'm never gonna use that again. Stupid thing. Yeah, I've got a level 80 boost just sitting there. Don't worry, I'm gonna use that on my ranger. Druid? I forget. Whatever it's called. Now, the only things that live permanently in my thing are the recharge, teleport to friend, and the copper fed. Speaking of, now that I've sorted that briefly, switch back to this character. It's okay, it's Gendarn. I'll be here in seconds. No, don't do it. Don't take long. Don't do it just to show me up. Okay, it's your fault. You did this, Giga. You did this. So what I like to do, you can salvage all, right? So salvage all fine, salvage all master, salvage rares. In this case, I want to salvage all blues, right? Sure. Hang on. Pay attention. You'll notice it lists the 45 common and unfair. Never, ever salvage these directly, okay? Pro tip. There's a lot of things you can do with these three types of bags. There's a reason I just keep them over there in the corner. Never just salvage them directly. It is objectively the worst possible thing you can do with them. You can sell them on the auction house. You can open them and then salvage all the stuff you get out of them, but never just salvage the bags, okay? So what I like to do is I drag the bag up to the shared slot, at which point it's not in the list. Boom. You can also just do this manually if you prefer.
This is most remarkable.
Like that and that. Boom. And then we deposit those. Do that, and all I need now is a vendor to get rid of this, and my inventory sorted. But you can still see how the game loves to shotgun stuff at you. And especially if you don't know what you're doing, it can be a little bit overwhelming. It is better than it used to be, but I do still think it's kind of bad. Which is why I've actually already given it a negative. Okay. I was going to show off something, and I decided not to. I'm trying to remember what it was now. Oh god, oh god. No, this is a great... Remember, I always like to start with the bad. I always like to start with the bad first. If you can get over the bad, the rest of it's great. Right? That's my mentality. Once you're past the bad, it's all downhill. Oh yeah, shotgun effect is just its own thing. Yes, there are certain specific types of bags you can do. You can also do something like, say... I don't remember how to do it. There's a way to, like, organize it, so don't ever salvage this, right? Also, these three resources can go straight to hell. Imperial Fragments, Dragonite Ore, and Bloodstone Dust. I hate them. That's it. I just wanted to rant about that very, very briefly. We're done. Rant's over. Rant's over. Okay. Vendor. Good news. There's a vendor right here. Every vendor is the same as every other vendor selling to. So don't worry about that. Just get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. And we're done. Boom. See? Nice empty inventory. What are those heart items in your inventory? Don't worry about those. We're not there yet. You might notice I have some resource things in my inventory. That's because I already have 500 of those in my storage. Yeah, anyways. Good afternoon, Paranoid Android. Always appreciate you. Now is a great time to acknowledge that people have given me money. I mean, I guess I could say thank you to the people who are literally supporting me and allowing me to do things like have food and rent. Yes. So Alpha Centauri, Overlord 2, Bioshock 2. I got a donation from Mr. Red. I saw it. It's right here. And that was for FF11. So we'll just put that up here. Hang on. Scooch, Dead Rising 1R, and Shadow Hearts Covenant. See you around, Lind. Have a good one. And Valerian, thank you very, very much. Remember, you can put the towards up to 3 things, because Mr. Red actually already added it. So, if you're there at all, which you might not be, I understand completely if you are. Lore does not deserve food. Always appreciate you, Valerian. Thank you very, very much. I hope you're doing well in these times. I will, however, put that towards FF11 and 2 other things of your choice. I know, right, Roman Cure? Like, I should just be like a rich person, you know? Just be like, yes, of course, I should have all the money. Yes, work for nothing for me because I'm evil. All right, so, let's talk about a couple of other things. I know I wanted to talk about the map. Fine, yeah, sure, whatever. Okay, here's the map. Now, there is an exception to this map sucking. That exception I've actually already shown you. It's the Tangled Depths. This map is useless. This map is garbage. I've actually shown this map off on camera. And, like, you see that road right here? Good luck figuring that out. But that's the exception, so we're gonna score that separately, okay? Let's go back up here. Let's go up here. For the most part, most zones, you look at it and you can tell what you're looking at pretty much immediately, right? Now, I'm at the furthest zoomed-in level, but, I mean, literally, someone sat down and painted this place. This is actually painted. For the most part, and you know, you could see that there's trees over here, you could see there's a dead person over there, you can see there's a vendor here, you can see there's a heart quest up here, there's a vista over here, there's a reinforced thing, there's an armor smith, a weaponsmith, a waypoint, there's roads that actually delineate where you can go and how you can connect with things, and there's usually an indicator of how to do zone lines. It's not obvious, well, okay, it's not indicated, but it's obvious. Like, for example, this is clearly a zone line right here, right? So that's how you get over to this zone. Cool, cool. It is a very parsable map. It also has a layer like here. You notice this is much more painted. If you look at that, it just looks like it's got that painted aesthetic like I was talking about earlier. So everything's kind of blotchy, and it looks like someone has taken brush strokes or everything. But it's still indicative, and you'll notice the roads are still visible at this level. Good design. So that's still actually a good way to actually indicate where it's going. And of course, down here, where the map gets really good, this is very parsable. Even despite the fact that it's a desert, you can tell immediately where the canyons are, where the roads are, how to get to what, etc., etc., etc. So this is an excellent map, with a couple of exceptions. So just by itself, I think the map is an easy triple. I also need to give a positive for load screens, because load screens in this game are really, really good. They're not quite the level of WoW, but they're damn good. Some of them like that. So, now you may or may not have noticed they added this new feature. I've been using it a bunch already because it's great. It's this thing in the lower right. Do you see that? Each of these is one of the expansions. Okay, so first of all, there's us. There's Vanilla. Heart of Thorns, Path of Fire, End of Dragons, and the new stuff. Trust me, that's awesome, because the way it used to work is... it was my only complaint with the map. There we go. And here we are. Ta-da! Just boom, boom. Yeah, pro tip, by the way, the Tyria one always takes you to Lion's Arch. So for whatever reason you need to go Lion's Arch or Gendaran Fields, red button, boom, instant, just like that. Boom, instant. I love it. That is a great quality of life feature, and it gets its own positive, because that is so invaluable. Okay. Second thing the map does really well. So I can't actually show this off properly on this character, because if you'll notice in the upper left up there, you see 100%. And yes, I am proud of that. Thank you for asking. I was at like 90 something when I quit the game and was like, oh my god. That Yeah, that is 303 heart quests, 189 hero challenges, 486 waypoints, 226 vistas, and 653 points of interest. That is completing the map. I know what you're thinking. Laura, if you hated vanilla so much, why do you have so much of that? Well, because that's what there was to level with. So we just did stuff to level. So we just swept, naturally. There's only actually 2 expansions in this game I have 100%ed. 3, excuse me, because I just got Maguma. So there's Heart of Thorns, which we just got just a couple weeks ago at this point. Obviously, Vanilla. And the other one, not on this character, but in the other one is Cantha. We actually 100%ed Cantha. This was kind of a pain, and it's almost entirely because of this zone right here. But we'll talk about that later. But Cantha's probably my favorite zone. Granted, I haven't seen the new ones. So, let me switch to any other character. Literally any other character. Are you... where's... yeah, boom, sure. You'll do. Okay. Hi, guys. So, first of all, I look totally badass. Hello. Second of all... Well, I'm dead now. I accept my death. Anyways, so you'll notice I don't have all the map here. Allow me to complain about one thing. There is one thing I wish shared. So I get why the map doesn't share completion across characters. It's so that other characters can get the reward for finishing the map, which is part of legendary crafting. However, I think that the waypoints should share. I think that those should be account bound. There's no good reason for the waypoints not to be account bound. There's so many ways to bypass that. It's just an irritating little hurdle. It would be nice if I could just go to, at this point, basically every waypoint in the game, because I've gotten them all. But that's the only irritant I have on that. Moving on. So, you'll notice that I've got the world completion, but more importantly, I've got the field completion. Once you finish a zone, once you sweep a zone, you get a chest. It actually tells you what that chest gives. As you can see right here, it gives you a tiny venom sac, small venom sac, glacial sliver, and pristine toxic spore sample. Could be Primarch. I'm not sure, because a lot of this game is spaghetti-coated. I've heard that's one of the biggest reasons they're moving on to Guild Wars 3. By the way, next expansion is supposed to be the last one. Guild Wars 3 is coming soon. Also, the Saudi Arabia people are buying more and more of this company, so it may be going down the tube soon. Anyways, so, this is a great feature. First of all, you can actually see Fog of War here. Fog of War is extremely obvious. Duh. Sometimes you can see a couple of things through Fog of War. You've got these little scouts. Those are almost always visible. A scout will show you where other things is, so that's cool. And obviously you can see certain like interactables like the Assurance Gates are up there, and like the trading post and stuff like that, right? But for the most part, you just see a nice big swath of vague idea of what's there. You notice it doesn't scale no matter what distance you're at. It's just the same thing. But lore, I want to figure out where I'm missing stuff on the map. This is a great feature. More completionist games need this. I want to see where every heart is I don't have on the map. So if I mouse over the hearts in the upper left, do you see that right there? How about the hero points? How about the vistas? How about the waypoint? How about the POIs? See? And if you just do this really quickly, you can see all the stuff you're missing. This is a great feature. Even if you don't care about completing to get materials for building legendaries or whatever, just having access to see where the waypoints are like that is extremely valuable. It's worth noting you get experience for doing all of this stuff too. So that can be useful too. This is great for completioning. By the way, it also works for the world too. Who am I on right now? I haven't done any expansion on this character, so I can't show that off. Hang on. Let me switch one more time. By the way, just to explain how spaghetti code this game is, you notice how I keep hitting log out and I have to collect 2 character select? That didn't used to be in the game. It used to be you just logged out, and then you'd have to log back in order to switch characters. Anyways, so... Yeah, I didn't forget about that. I was so happy when they added that. This game is very spaghetti coded. Like, really, really spaghetti coded. It is no wonder they're walking away. Yes, I did, J. Palmer. Hang on. Just wait. Patience. Okay, so I just want to show this off really quick, because I'm almost done with the map. So, thing I wanted to show off is there. You notice that it actually, I don't have the world completion anymore, because the world completion is just for vanilla. That's what I wanted to show off. So as you can see, if you zoom out a bit, you can actually see the sparkles, even at a distance, even when you're zoomed out to this level. But if you want to see everything, you have to zoom to this level, at which point it'll start showing you everything. See? Could be better, technically, but is still a good guidance. Okay, now I'm going to acknowledge donation. I guess. Ugh. Having to acknowledge donations. Ugh. Okay, so first, thank you, Jay Palmer. Always appreciate. Stop making me so evil. Halo, SPB3, Sky, Odyssey, Siphon, Filter, Omega Strain. And really quick, I just want to say, Jay Palmer said money makes people evil. Really quick, I know you're joking. But little factoid I like to remind people of. It's not money that's evil, it's the love of money, right? Greed is the problem. Currency is just a tool. It's a measure of input and output. That's it. When money becomes the most important thing, when you love money and you spend people, that's a problem. Thank you, Spartan, very, very much. As always, I will jot that down for Patch Trail, Metroid Prime Hunters, Dead Space. Exactly, Ross. Dead Space 1R. Boom. Okay. Alright, so we've done a bunch of running around.
Let me know if you need help getting your
Let's go back to Gandarian really quick. Who needs empathy? Honestly, God. Basic human empathy. I was mentioning recently that I'm doing a good job with the cat, even though I'm not a pet person. It's like, yeah, it's because I understand this alien technology that they just invented called basic human empathy. We could talk about that. Let's not. Let's instead... Actually, I kind of am Spartan, because I'm curious how it's going to rate. Also, I want it to be the first Prime game we play. So... I've talked about interface, I've talked about loot, I've talked about the microtransaction shop, I've talked about the map. I've talked about how Giga just bailed on us. No, come back, Giga. Come back. No. We lost Giga. I've talked about how these stacks of resources suck so much and I hate them. Talked about shared inventory. I've talked about currency. I've talked about gold. You know, honestly, hang on a second. Hang on. It's one of the reasons I'm so glad WoW picked that up, Jordan. I'm not sure if FF14 can really do events like WoW and Guild Wars 2 do. Like, I'm legitimately not sure if they can do that kind of story chaining event thing. I know they can do chained events. I've seen chained fates myself, but they've never really gone past here's a fate and then here's another fate, right? Like, you never see something like we just saw in Dragon's Stand in FF14. And again, I'm not sure if that's a code limit. Oh, here it is. Code limitation or not. Thank you very, very much, Nithrius. Always appreciate. Give me a moment. I'll jot that down. Bell, Seal, Arbiter's Mark. Pokemon Violet, and FF4 comparison block. You got it. So small little tidbit. So I haven't really talked about the auction house yet. The auction house sucks. So this right here is Chrome. As in Google Chrome. No, I'm not joking. And it has all of the problems you'd think. It's hard to even put into words just how frustrating this is to use. Obviously, you can search. You know, there is a search feature. It's not great, to be honest with you. Like, it likes to interpret a thing. It does have some basic functionality, like, you know, sorting and price and whether you favorited something or not, quantity, item, etc. It's not that bad, but, like, don't spend too much time here unless you really know what you're doing. You can sell stuff, you can home stuff. Let's talk about, you know, it also likes to error out. It likes to literally crash. Someone tell Mr. Red to wake up and hit yes. It does have some basic sorting over here. Not all of these make sense, really. So, honestly, if you don't know what you're doing here, ask someone. It's just really the answer. You can buy legendaries here. Hit yes. Do you see this? Hit yes. Do it, Mr. Red. Do it. You can buy legendaries. Check it out. Legendaries cost a few thousand gold. Oh, hey, check it out. I've got something in my delivery box. It looks like 1,564 gold and 94 silver. Huh. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and grab that. Oop. There we go. Alright, anyways. So, we'll just... So, you can buy legendaries. You can also sell legendaries here, which is what I really wanted to talk about. So... there's two ways to buy and there's two ways to sell, and it's the same two ways. You can sell immediately and buy immediately, or you can bid or put it up for auction. Okay, so this is actually a great system, and it's part of why the economy of Guild Wars 2 is as good as it is, because the in-game economy, because the way it works is money is effectively generated every time you sell to the game, and then the item is just kind of put into the auction house, and it just sits there. If no one literally ever buys that, money has still been generated and given into your inventory. Make sense? This is actually a good thing, though, because it also means that you can then buy immediately, usually for a little bit of additional pittance, which also puts more of the money right back out. So it's a pretty effective gold fountain and gold sink baked into the same system. If you care, if you want to go with the high-end stuff, which was, you know, obviously the bigger amounts, like I just did with that legendary, then what you want to do is you want to sell not to the system. You want to sell to a player. So you just put it up for auction, and then it just sits there doing nothing until someone finally buys it, like a typical auction house would. Same thing with purchasing. You can go in and specifically order a specific thing, right? See, that's this stuff down here. Generally speaking, don't worry about this unless you're doing something of high value. For the overwhelming majority of purchases, just use buy instantly or sell instantly. But I do like the systems there, and it is an effective in-game economy, like a throttle, right? It's a good way to keep things relatively under wraps. The players do still determine the relative value of things, like the aforementioned... Oh, whoops, sorry, hang on. There. Ah! Really? Oh, it's because I'm in weapons. There we go. Like the Abyss die. There's actually several Abyss dice, by the way. All of them are like 40 gold. That's still determined by players. And there are people who absolutely make their living, they just sit around doing nothing other than running the economy. Just like every other MMO. By the way, really, really small thing. This is my least favorite suit in the entire game. No guesses as to why. But the actual reason why is not what any of you were thinking. Obviously, it's over-sexualized, which is stupid. But what irritates me the most is that it has clothing on it. And I know that sounds very, very strange. But I love the idea of like a celestial skin, where like your skin is just the stars. Like if I pan around, you can see space through her. And that's such a cool idea. And yeah, there's all this nonsense on it, which just ruins it. And it's like, but... like, if I were to show you... let me get to a bank. Show you what I'm talking about. Because Guild Wars 2 actually employs that technique several times, and it's really cool. How about...
More violets, I say. Less violence.
There's the quote! Did I not see it?
Excelsior.
Oh, it's because I'm in armor. Duh. There we go. There we go.
May the stars guide
These?
you. Seize the moment.
Why am I not seeing these? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? I'm confused by this. I should see these here. Oh god, I'm never gonna see it just by eye. Why is it not here?
I know your face from my dreams.
Shut up. There's Twilight. Why couldn't I search for Twilight?
The stars guide you.
Okay, whatever. Anyways, moving on. Bzz. Okay, so it's kind of hard to see with this specific one, but you can see the night sky through the sword. In other words, it doesn't actually have a texture. Its texture is render through. Right? There's several weapons like that. This is actually one of the more sought-after weapons in the entire game. And has been since it came out, which was like 10 years ago. It also gives you a walk effect. A lot of legendaries give you like an extra visual effect just for having the legendary. Giga, I'll show you what Giga's working on right now. Hang on. Giga's working on this thing. It actually has more effects that I can't properly show you. It is, of course, fully...
Less violence.
God. It is fully dyeable, of course. But if you're ever curious what a legendary looks like on your character, this is how you look at. You go to your bank, you go to this third tab, which is wardrobe storage,
May the stars
and you search for it. Oh yeah, no, here, you know what, hang on. I owe it to you to show you what this looks like on a char. You're never going to make it, Giga. How many ectos do you still need? There's like no bank in the game that isn't a load screen. 400 ectos. You're never going to make it, Giga. It's over. Oh yeah, look at that load in. Look at that load in. Come on, I need to see the banker. I mean, I guess I don't. There we go. Hey, there's the bank.
and you shall find.
So this is what this looks like on Char. Once it loads, which it will at some point, because this is Guild Wars 2. Oh my god.
Someday I will establish my prominence.
Okay. It looks much cooler on a Char. It actually follows their tail. That is my actual tail right there. I admittedly am tempted by this, but I hate legendary grinds in this game with a fiery passion. There's a reason I've only ever done 2, and only ever do 1 more. It's funny you asked that. Oh god, yeah, it just came out, by the way. It just came out like a week ago. A week or 2 ago. So, good luck! Hope you maxed out cooking. And you like getting thousands of ectos. Ectos can come from salvaging exotics, by the way. And yellows, I think. They do, Mithrius. All you have to do is spend real money and you can have it. Yours. Anyways, I said I'd show off Guardian briefly. So, I can't properly show this off. But, everything I'm doing here is either buffing or healing everyone in the group right now. They also changed this build recently, so it's even better than it used to be. So you see the cavalcade of buffs here? Yeah, that's all me. And remember, all of these things are healing you. By the way, every time I heal you, I also buff you. I actually really love this build, unironically. It is a pure buff support healer. And it also can't solo worth beans. I have basically no DPS at all. But this is a good time as I need to talk about dungeons. So, I know we're doing this in a really weird order, but just bear with me. Who's down for some dungeons? Okay. How long are they? Good question. So, let's be clear. Let's start by saying we're not doing every path. That's insane. 6, 7, 8. There are 8 of them total. And no, we're not doing Exploration Room. A little bit, yes, J. Palmer. So it looks like they are 5-mans. Yeah, I was just looking at it here. So, yeah, there's explorable mode. Dungeons. I hate dungeons. So most of dungeons, ironically, qualifies as the other game, right? Each dungeon has 3 paths and an explore mode, okay? We're doing what I would refer to as the default path because we're mostly just interested in MSQ. They're all max level? No. It's actually much worse than that. They're all level capped. I believe the final ones are level 80. Actually, let me actually look, because Ruined City of Era is the last one. I'll double check it right here. Yep, that is level 80, so you do have to be 80 for that. Yeah, so there's story mode. All of these occur during the MSQ, but again, the problem is they're dungeons, and you can't 1- or 2-man dungeons. You have to have a group. It's the worst kind of difficulty, too. Dungeons suck, is what I'm trying to say. It's the worst kind of difficulty because it's pure stats. You can bullcrap your way, slow-mode your way through some of these. If with 2 players, if you really know what you're doing. Pack set up a full-on tank, no really nuke build, and I was on this character, and we were able to barely 2-man a couple of them over several hours. For obvious reasons, I don't consider that viable for the run. Okay, so where is this? I actually don't remember. Hang on. Okay, so that's going to be... Oh, jeez. There it is, right here. This is the first dungeon narratively. Ascalonian Catacombs. You'll notice I have all of these because I've done them all on this character. So what's the difference between level 80 and level capped? None whatsoever. Level 80 is capped. If you guys don't want to do dungeons now, this is a good time to say you don't want to. It is not the end of the world. If we don't show off dungeons at all, it's not the end of the world. It is up to you. Oh, excuse me. You asked about level capped, not level cap. Sorry, those are 2 different things. Okay, so this dungeon is capped at level 30. This one right here. And that's why that's worse. So, I'm looking at the chat here. Yeah, sorry, I thought you meant level cap. That's my fault. I totally misread. You even said capped. I just read cap like an idiot. Let me grab this over here. Bingo. It doesn't scale up, it scales you down, and they're here to beat your face in. Like I said, they're all scaled badly, and it's just, ugh. Why is capped worse? So Guild Wars 2's level scaling is irritating, in my honest opinion. And it does some stuff good. I'm not going to say, obviously, like Dragon's Stand is a good example, or most of the meta events. But it's more irritating because they designed these dungeons. It's the dungeons specifically that I would say is worse. This is level 30. If you bring level 25, you'll get mulched. Because these dungeons are designed for people who are geared at the level in question. As in well-geared. Let me explain this. This is true in pretty much any RPG, but MMOs especially. There's your level, but then there's the amount of gear you have access to at a level, right? And there's like a range, right? So if you're level 30, you could have crap level 30 gear, you could have decent level 30 gear, and you could have really good level 30 gear. They're scaled for this. Make sense? Now, they may have changed this. Primarch just says they may have changed this, and that's possible. I haven't touched this in years because screw this place. Oh, I hate dungeons so much. But like I said, when we used to do these, they were designed to absolutely punch your face in, because they were supposed to be the high-end, super difficulty content, right? That was the goal, was for this to be the end game, the hardcore mode stuff. The problem is they locked MSQ. Literally half the MSQ of vanilla is locked behind dungeons. Yeah. So Bragwin, do what Bragwin just said, and by Bragwin I mean Giga. But if you go down here, I want to say... Oh, God, where are they? I don't see them on the map for some reason. I swear the portals are, like, around here somewhere. Yeah, I swear they're right here. I just don't see them for some reason. But there's going to be a portal around here that just says Black Citadel. And if you go through the Black Citadel portal, it will specifically send you right there. Right to here. And then you just go straight east, and you'll be in the zone we're in. And then you can just keep going east, and then you'll be here. Boom. Oh yeah, everyone leave squad, by the way, because we need to be in a party for this. Squad means raid, if you're wondering. Oh, back. Bring whatever you want to. It's not the end of the world. If Primarch is right, then maybe they push them down and this will be a joke. I'm going to laugh. If after all this prep work and setup, this is just going to be a joke. I am, as usual, I'm going to go and bring this character. I am a buffer healer, so you will be much stronger than you normally are. I'm pretty good at this spec, too. I don't have very good gear because I don't need it. I could have even better gear. Like, I've got yellows on this setup. But, yeah. I got this. Don't worry. The one that says Black Citadel, Bragwin. Jesus, Dakota. Yeah, you just physically try. So, interesting enough, you may not have noticed, I haven't been walking anywhere. Because why would I walk anywhere? That's ridiculous. But, in order to actually navigate, almost all of the game is physically navigable. That's what the portal network is there for. So you go to Lion Arch, and there's the portals somewhere, and they lead to each of the capital cities. They lead up here to Divinity's Reach. They lead down here to Radisum, which I don't even have explored. They lead over here to the Grove, and they lead up here to Black Citadel, and one last place, which is somewhere around here. There's Holbrook, right there. And each of those connects to each other. Each of those has portals to each other, right? And then from there, you can just walk from everywhere. No, I agree, Mr. Red. This game is weirdly overwhelming, probably because it is so spaghetti-coded, as we mentioned. Again, this is based on code that even now is 20 years old. But even when it came out was old. But the other thing is, it's 2 games crammed into one. The more I'm going to keep saying that because I really want people to be aware and cognizant of the fact that this is functionally 2 separate games. The game we're going to be reviewing is the game I recommend wholeheartedly and without hesitation. The other game can get very overwhelming very quickly. You know, you look at yes, Linarith. You look at, I mean, the Wizard's Vault is pretty easy to understand, but that's like the tip of the iceberg, right? You look at the WVW stuff. Excuse me. You look at the fractals, which I don't even think I could see here, and the LFG stuff, and all the stuff that the guilds can do, and yeah, exactly, Rax. There's just so much other stuff that if you're invested in it, and if you want to have fun with it, go for it. Fractals are fun, right? Strike missions are mean, but in a good way. I've actually never done raids. I can't speak to those. Dungeons, I hate dungeons. Going for like the end game super grindy stuff can be fun. I do have a legendary. I got a second legendary. I am working on a third legendary. That's probably the last one I'm going to get. I did bother to get several pieces of Ascended gear before the Wizard's Vault even showed up. I did bother to flesh out the map, right? Like, etc., etc. But almost all of that stuff, you can just leave it be. And the main reason I point all that up to, reason I point all this out, is I'm trying to think how to explain this properly, because I think Mr. Red understands what I mean by this, because I think he was affected by that. I was affected by this. When you get into this game and you just do the main story stuff, you're still bombarded with everything else, right? You still get the currencies, you still get the loot boxes, you still get all the crafting mats, you still get the masteries, you still get the I haven't even talked about masteries and hero points yet. That's a whole other bag of things. You still get all the stuff, right? It's still all bombarded into your face from everything, because the whole way the game works is everything you do gives you stuff. And there is this absolutely colossal thing, this colossal basin of stuff that you get that you can then pick out and do this and this and this and this and this, right? And there's tons of it. There's tons of it. Yeah, don't gamble with the scripts. Are there add-ons in Guild Wars 2? No, there's no supported add-ons. There are add-ons in the same way there are in FF14, let's put it that way. I actually poked at a couple of them, didn't care for them personally. There's actually an add-on whose only purpose is to help people to get the map completion here. Literally, just that's its point. Anyways, don't stress about that. That's my honest advice. Don't stress about that. Make a stack of the 3 types of bags, blue, green, and yellow, right? And just let those pile up until they hit 250. Once they hit 250, then you can decide what to do with them later. Everything else, sell or dump in your bank. If you overflow, sell your overflow. Don't worry about it. And that's my honest advice. If you're into the game sufficient, yeah, sure, go ahead and try to invest yourself in some of the other stuff. There are 2 caveats, and we haven't actually talked about them yet because they're not relevant until Heart. So first is hero points, and second is masteries. I kind of don't want to get into that, but this is hero points, and this is masteries. And that's all I'm going to say right now. Just... we'll get there. So, is everyone here? Hang on. So there's... I think that's Bregwin. I don't know who that is. I know that's Giga. Oh, that's Colgrim. That's Blade to Vault. That's Bregwin. We're all here. Hey! Okay. Jesus Christ, Mr. Floyd. Yes, all the stuff that I already knew is stuff that I have read. Yes, thank you. Okay, so we're going to do story mode, obviously. Catacombs. MSQ. Let's do it.
You're not the reinforcements I expected.
Oh god, I forgot.
But you'll do.
Vanilla cutscenes look like this.
Thorn air has stirred up the ghosts down here. Let me brief you. This place has a history, and I don't want your ignorance getting us killed. This was originally Char land. The humans pushed us out and built Ascalon on top of it. Over 200 years ago, we took our land back.
13 years old.
Adelbert watched his soldiers panic as we breached the city gates. Facing certain defeat, the doomed king refused to surrender.
Retreat? Retreat is not an option.
Adelbert smashed his ancient blade Magder. Cursed Ascalon.
You will not abandon me!
The blast incinerated the attacking legions and turned the defending humans into vengeful spirits.
We will never surrender! Never!
The ghosts see the living as invaders. They show no mercy and no weariness. Only blind hatred. Battle burns, hatred. And now, air's gone right into the dead king's lair. What a mess. We're going after her. She's causing trouble, and I don't want anyone dying because of her foolishness.
I kind of hate these old cutscenes personally. They'll get worse when we get to the rest of the MSQ. You'll see what I mean. That cutscene was fine. That's a little bit different. This is Ritualist. Yes, that's Steve Blum.
Report.
So, those catacombs will tear you up. We need strength and numbers. What you see is enough.
Good. You're ready. The sooner we can find that fool Norn, the sooner we can quit this foul place.
Frankly, Steve Blum does a better job of Ritlock later on. That's all I'm going to say about that. Okay. I distinctly remember my very, very first time walking in here. We came in with a group. We got stomped. So let's see. We have a Necro. That's Bragwin. Holgrim is a Mesmer. Blake Taval is playing another Necro. Look, you want me to be honest or not, Avatar Blade? And I don't know what Giga's playing. I don't know what a Tempest is. Okay, we need to find a key to progress. Cool. Ah, Elementals. Oh, of course you're playing Ella. Why would I expect anything else from you? By the way, I have actually used this exact spec that I'm currently playing as proof that you can make a pure support class still fun to play. Like, as you're probably seeing, I am quite active, despite the fact that I am doing no damage. Like, you see, like, I'm hitting for, like, 200. Yeah, no, this is baller. I love playing pure support Guardian. And you notice how things are just absolutely melting. We might have this. This might be fine. We're just running over this. Hey, Juke Buzz. So I haven't been uploading the Hi, I'm Still Alive streams to YouTube, but all normal streams, like this one, will be uploaded to YouTube, yes. Stop taking damage. Oh god, stop taking damage. It is fun is all that matters. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, you want to play that way? I can play that way. Oh god, 3 subs at once. I wasn't ready. All right, let's see how that everyone does without healing for a few seconds. Oh, I thought I could just. Oh, I did. I actually healed it up without. Let's get past the traps. So there's. Really, Lithrius? Wow. There's no tanking because there's no aggro. So enemies just attack whoever. In raids, there's actually a sort of aggro. And in raids, there's rules, right? So, like, who has the most of a specific stat? Who is the farthest from me, who hit me last? Or, like, random. And I think there's, like, another one. And so in raids, you know what type of aggro a specific boss has, and then you manipulate the boss based on that. I don't remember how to progress here, but I have to say thank you to a few people. So you guys figured it out. Thank you very, very much, Scales of Justice. You didn't put the totaling, but thank you very much.
What do you have for me?
Thank you, Unicorn Scotch. If you give me a moment, I'll jot that down. I actually have another build I've been working on for my Guardian. I'll show that off later. Don't worry. And thank you, 10-headed Hydra. Always appreciate. So for Unicorn, I will put that towards Fable, Cyberpunk, and Dead Space 1R. And then 10-headed Hydra's putting that towards Overlord 1, Sid Meier's Pirates, also known as one of only 2 Pirates games in the history of the ever, and Red Dead Redemption 2. There. Okay. You guys got this. Don't die. Oh god, I'm gonna die. Everyone's gonna die. We're all dead. Oh, oh god, actually I'm gonna die. I was burning. You might even say I was on fire. Almost every class has a self-heal. That's my 6. It's everyone's 6. Alright, I got this. I can kill a thing by myself. Here we go. I'm going to hit every button. Every single button. This. Oh my god. I still didn't kill it. Someone else had to run up and actually kill it. Yeah, I do know DPS. That's by design. So I should explain a little bit of how this spec works. So obviously I've got all my staff stuff. I've got staff and shield as my setup. And I'm a little bit turned around. I think we go this way. No? I am wrong. Oh god. Yeah, hit the buttons as hard as possible. That's how you really do more DPS. This way, maybe? Oh god, I think it's this way. It's been a minute. It's been a hot minute. Giga. Oh no! Someone died. So my basic abilities are all mostly just heals.
A bravely nest. It just keeps getting better and better. Seal that hole. They're going to burn. Keep them doing it in the dirt.
Then I've got my utilities. Almost all of these are do heal and also buff, or just buff, right? So that's pretty basic. Where the spec really finds itself is in my function keys. Most specs find themselves in the function spec of things. So in this, everything I do does burning and gives might, resolution, and quickness. In this, regen, resolution, and quickness. And in this, Aegis, protection, resolution, quickness. So, do I want to burn things and buff everyone? Do I want to heal, buff, and buff? Or do I want to buff, and buff?
Ritlock, what are you doing here?
I hate these cutscenes.
I came to stop you from inciting a full-scale ghost rampage. Why are you here?
I'm looking for King Adalbern's legendary weapon, the sword called Magdir.
Magdir? Magdir was destroyed when the Sorcerer King set off the foe fire.
I think it survived. I believe the sword will be found at the top of these stairs.
You are following a foolish human legend.
You of all people should know the power of legends. You bear Magdir's twin, Sohathan. It was Rurik.
This is very as you know. These people have known each other for years, by the way.
Adalbern's sword is no more, just like his nation.
Then let us go up the stairs and see for ourselves.
Yeah, Air, this is not great story. I didn't tell you it was good story. Just main story. So, Norn are functionally humans, yes. They're an offshoot of humans, but for all intents and purposes, they are humans. Char are species. All the other races are species. I'll talk more about where humans came from later. Hey, look, there's a sword.
Quit this chamber at once. We need a choice. Attack! Protect the king! Don't let them reach the sword!
Alright, you guys got this. I'm gonna hang back. Honestly, you probably do got this. I kind of want to see. This is just a bunch of trash. This is garbage. Ugh. Garbage. Total garbage. I spit on it. It's like a vet. Ugh, whatever. Come on, Giga. Die. Die for me, Giga. Die for my amusement. Actually, not going to. Not against a vet. Hey, look, a chest. With King Adalbert.
Ritlock, the broken sword. It's the twin to your own.
You just said this.
More about the sword's master. Look there.
I sense Sahothan's presence. Rurik, my son, you've returned!
Your son is dead. So is your kingdom. Leave us.
Foul creature. Your entire race will pay. Even now, my champions prepare to invade the surface. You will fall before the might of Master Ranger Nente, deadly Kasha Blackblood, and the lovers Rowena and Vassar. We'll destroy you.
Thank you for telling me the names of the upcoming bosses in the most awkward way possible.
No one with your meaningless threats. We've killed you before. We'll do it again.
By the way, like the total absence of music.
Now you've angered them.
They were already angry. Now we must find his champions and silence them.
Oh, these are so bad. Oh, these are so... I forgot how bad these are. Okay. Anyways, so let's go find and kill the bosses. And yeah, these are all skill trainers from Guild Wars 1. For the 5 people who actually caught that reference. Voice acting is fine, but yeah, the cutscenes are awkward and weirdly paced. Part of the problem is they're very, and I do mean this as an insult, early FF14 cutscenes. Say thing, pause. Say thing, pause. Say thing, pause. You get it? There's no flow to it. It's completely unnatural. It's...
Your desire to destroy still unsatisfied, beast. Burning Ascalon not enough for you?
Yeah, exactly, Rex.
As long as you stalk us, we'll fight you tooth and claw.
By Melandru's will, I will rend you from this world, Char.
Yeah, okay. You know, I might not give any positives to voice acting for Vanilla, because it's pretty rough. Again, even Stephen Blum there does a much... Oh, I don't have my glider. Does a much better job later on.
Do this face to face.
Farron I would agree with. We'll get to him.
Time to put some distance between us.
Alright, buff.
Valor, we have won the day.
Oh no, help! Save me! Yeah, Steve Blum plays Ritlock. And, again, so Ritlock, if it's not obvious, is a main character. He's like, I don't know, like Urianger or whatever. He's part of the main party. The thing is, he gets so much better later. Like, I honestly was weirded out when I first heard him talk. It's like, wait, that's his... Okay. So I actually answered this earlier, Juke Boss. I played until Ore. I can even show you. I got here, to this zone, which is the Straits of Devastation, and I was like, I'm good. That was officially the line. I couldn't deal with it anymore. Now, it's not like Straits of Devastation is, like, particularly bad. I was just sick of the whole game by then. So, that was the line. That was the final straw for me. I didn't come back for 5 years. Not until Path of Fire came out. Guild Wars 1? I never actually stopped playing Guild Wars 1. So, that's my answer there. I mean, honestly, Ore is what I consider to be generally badly designed zones, but we'll get there. Frankly, most of the good vanilla zones, by memory, of course, are all the early ones, like the starter zones. And even those have some differing quality. I would say the Char starting zone and the Human starting zone are two of the better ones. Sylvari's fine. Norn is a bit rough. And Ashuran is fine, I would say. That's by memory. We'll see as we go through.
Invaders in this holy place? How rude! I will summon my dear Vassar, and together we will make short work of you.
Careful, she's got a friend. Keep them apart.
Yeah, Air's voice actress just kind of is phoning it in. It's really strange. Dude, you're dead. Go away.
They'd never shut up.
Grab some points here while we're at it. There we go. Where's the other one? Over here. Can we not go north? We cannot go north. Perfect. I know, right, Jukebox? It's like, I thought that today would be the day when I would finally avenge my one true love. Unfortunately, I have been stabbed in the chest. I am dying. My life bleeds out before me. Lo, as the dawn comes and ushers in a new day, it is a sunrise I will never see, for I have spotted my last, alas. I mean, I've talked about this before. It's actually really cheap and really easy to get voice acting. Really. It is much harder to do proper voice direction because proper voice direction involves someone who...
Why are you here? This is the land of ghosts.
Stand down, Spectre. We seek only to protect the living.
Don't chat with her, heir. Dispatch her.
Hem. So anyways...
She fought well. Her trials on this world are over. With all this death, Adelbert's blood must be boiling by now. Perfect chance to deal with him.
God, look at all the junk it's dumping in our inventories. Oh my god, look at all this trash. Yeah, exactly. To do proper voice direction involves a director who knows what they're talking about, an editor who knows what they're doing, and generally often retakes. It's very rare that proper voice acting involves your first take, right? And that takes time. It literally adds additional multiplicatives on top of voice acting. To sit down and say a line takes a few minutes. A microphone, a booth, and a couple $100. Boom. Easy. Done. But actually sitting down and properly directing, way more expensive. It's okay, your bank has like 12 slots, Mr. Red.
What have you done?
Your champions are gone, Ghost. Just like your son and your kingdom.
I will have my vengeance. Join me in death.
I'm just gonna hang back. Yeah.
You've defeated me, but what have you gained? Much deadlier things stir beneath us. They'll consume you all.
Magdare is shattered, but I know a blacksmith who can mend these pieces.
Did you really think that if you got me a sword, you'd earn forgiveness?
For you, the sword would be for Logan.
What? Why would you risk our lives, my life, for that coward?
I thought it would heal old wounds. It would remind you.
Remind me of what? Betrayal? Ah, you've become a sentimental old woman. We're finished here.
Why does Ritlock hate Logan?
Mistakes from a lifetime ago. Best forgotten.
Oh yeah, we're voiced in this game, by the way.
I've gotten too sentimental. Too weak. A long time ago, I led us into a disaster. He blames me. They all do. The thing is, they may be right.
Oh, they're totally right. Congratulations, you have finished the catacombs. Now you should go do the hard mode of it for absolutely no goddamn reason. We're done here. Boop. Thank you for the sub, Justin. I'm in the temporary housing situation right now, is the summary there. Get away from this. Almost none, Jukeboss. You'll notice I haven't really summarized Guild Wars 1's story, and that's because I don't really need to. It will crop up a few times, But honestly, if you never played Guild Wars 1, you won't notice anything really until Path of Fire, which is the first time Guild Wars 1 starts being a little bit more relevant. Correct, Justin. So I'll put that towards Resident Evil block, the 2D platformer block, and Paper Mario sticker car. I will point out Guild Wars 1 connections as we go, don't worry. But yeah, for the most part, you're good. So yeah, now we could totally do the dungeon again on a different path, and then a second path, and then a third path, and then the open world mode, and we're not doing any of that because screw it. Moving on, next dungeon. Blade Vault, do you have time? If you don't, it's okay. I don't mind waiting on these. The next dungeon, hang on, I got these in order. Codicus's Manor is next? Really? Okay. Okay, so that's going to be over here. Yep, right there. How do I not have that explored in this character? Right. I think we could do Codicus in 30 if we hurry. Hang on. Listen. Just because I didn't set up the guessing game doesn't mean I'm not an idiot. Guild Wars 2. Boom. There you go. We are not going to be doing a silver calculation, I don't think. Maybe we will. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I haven't decided. I'll think about it. Because it'd be interesting to see how badly vanilla scores, you know? So, pro little tip. This mount goes double speed on water. It's the third fastest method of travel if you happen to have water. Problem is there's not that much water in the game, but, you know, whatever. Huh. The way this game renders is kind of funny, honestly. The thing is, Blade Taval specifically wants to do the dungeons because he has never seen them and he'd like to, and I'd like to do this for him. So what we'll probably do is we'll do this dungeon, then we'll pause dungeons. And we'll probably do this dungeon and pause for lunch, actually, I think, is what we'll specifically do. See, the thing is, the reason I wasn't sure if I should do dungeons or not is because, or dungeons, expansions or not, and do the silver numbers, or I guess bronze numbers in this case, is because this game doesn't have expansions in the same sense that other games do. Like, when does vanilla end exactly? For that matter, when does Heart of Thorns is easier. Because Heart of Thorns ends right here. Living World Season 3. And this is Path of Fire, right? But then is Icebrood its own thing? Is End of Dragons its own thing? Does this count as its own thing? Does this count as its own thing? Alright, who's not here? We got Bragwin, we've got Giga, we've got me.
And centaurs love to shoot guys in uniform. No thanks. I'll find another way.
Coward.
Step right up, carnival goers. Test your strength.
Oh god, help, Bragwin! Help! Help!
Judge a drake by its snout.
Help, Bragwin!
Take home a prize.
I will 100% finish Guild Wars 2 before I move again. It is effectively impossible for this game to take that long.
I can't believe it.
Never.
Okay, is everyone here? Almost.
I carry only the highest quality goods.
Week or two, maybe. Okay. Story mode. Here we go. Oh, I didn't know that, Culgrim. That'll actually help, thank you. Okay, so, Codicus Manor. Now, you're probably thinking, who's Codicus? Real quick, he's an evil politician. That's really all you need to know. There's more details later, but for right now, he's an evil politician. Moving on. Sorry for being redundant.
May Cormyr enlighten you.
Yep, Cormyr is totally cool and exists. So there's Logan. He was just mentioned in the previous cut scene. He's a moron, act.
Your Majesty, I'm not sure you and the ambassador should have come here.
That's ridiculous, Captain. This is the perfect place to celebrate the détente with the Char.
There are separatists that want this treaty torn apart. For all we know, Codicus is in cahoots with them.
Minister Codicus is loyal to the crown, even if he and I disagree.
He is loyal to the crown, true. But I wonder if he's loyal to the head it rests upon.
Do you need any help here?
Yes, I don't trust some of the guests. Ask around and see what you turn up on Codicus. But be subtle.
These are all skippable. All cutscenes in this game are skippable. So, I don't like Logan. He is my least favorite of the... I don't even remember the name of their guild. He's just terrible. The human queen is most gracious, but I feel uneasy. Anything in particular bother you?
That seems familiar. I think I've seen him in anything.
It's Flunt. Oh god, it's Flunt. Destiny's Edge, that's them. You are not the inventor. It seems this party is swimming in them. I was actually more interested in Lord Codicus.
I have to say, this Oozalon creature is particularly suspicious.
Really?
Someone here is using my master's old discoveries.
Oh hey, it's Zoja, someone who I hope you like because she's about to leave the narrative for a long time. He's terrible because he's boring. He's just a disinteresting character. Honestly, the only one of the original crew that I would say is interesting is Ritualist. You'll notice he's one of the only ones who stays on for the second main character. I noticed Bragwin is reading stuff without me. And we'll get a second party pretty much the moment we hit Heart of Thorns. And that party is much more engaging. We're in vanilla, Spartan.
Yes, the Asura ambassador really likes them.
So, whatever.
I find Kryto to be very clever.
Could you guys shut up, please?
Sausage in a blanket?
I do like sausages in blankets. Yeah, Taimi is one of the best characters in the game. And not just because I need to defend her at all costs.
Logan. He still has stars in his eyes for his queen. Useless.
By the way, that's Felicity Faye, or whatever her name is. Felicity... Oh god, what's her name? Anyways. There's a... Felicity Day, excuse me. There's a reason... Felicia Day, excuse me. There's a reason she left the narrative. For a long time. You remember that period of time where Felicia Day was like the hot stuff and everybody wanted her and she was totally unavailable because she was totally amazing and then her career just exploded and died? Guess right about when she went back to Guild Wars 2.
My father says travel broadens the mind.
Oh my god, why is this taking so long?
I like it here.
We have a lot of new people that come in for the party.
She got a little... Her head got too big, very, very simply.
Yes, the Asura ambassador really likes them. I don't think Codicus likes the queen.
Keeps checking his watch.
Perhaps you're right. Just a soldier's hours.
Okay, we're done. Jesus Christ. That took way too long.
From what you've told me, this kind of deviltry stinks of Codicus.
I disagree. The inventor Oozalon is obviously up to something.
Then we should confront both of them.
Fine. If that's the plan, we should check with this Oozalon first. Maybe he'll tell us more about his employer.
Hello, Oozalon.
Oozalon, I must speak to you of a threat to the Queen.
Threat to the queen. You know about our plot. We will not be stopped. Gollum, initiate Plan Alpha.
What are you, a demon? Like, you caught that, right? Logan literally just shows up and is like, hey, I must inform you of a threat. And his response is, you have found me out! Like, instantly. Oh my god, vanilla. Vanilla. I should mention, I haven't even played vanilla in years. There's a reason for that. No, he was a separatist.
Jenna! It killed her!
Hold your tears, Logan. She and the others are fine. That golem used a teleportation ray on them.
Teleporting? Where?
Oh, so now you need my help. Let's see, it looked like a short-range teleporter. I can track the energy signature. Hang on.
Yeah, by the way, Logan is in love with the Queen, and I hate that plot thread, and that's all I'm going to say about that. It's just, why is that a plot thread? Why is that a thing? Oh God, I don't actually remember how to track this stupid thing. Is it in here? I actually remember this dungeon the most of all of them because we just got our asses handed to us when we tried to two-man this place.
One side, we're coming through.
Just slow-moding our way through.
Uzalon is a traitor. Stand aside.
By the way, if you can't tell what's happening, don't worry. That's normal.
They've seen us. Kill them.
They've seen us. This game has a lot of visual noise. It's very Korean in that respect. It's part of the spectacle, and it's what it's going for. They have eyes. Kill them! So yeah, this is a whole plot thread that I hope you enjoy because it's never going to be relevant again. The Separatists are like the big main vanilla villain for the humans. And Char, technically.
Who just attacked us?
Separatist scum trying to sabotage the Char-Human Treaty. Uzalon must be working with them.
Yeah, for like 10 seconds, Giga.
That Codicus is also involved.
And in a way that is completely irrelevant. Yeah, sorry. To be technically correct, the Separatists exist after this once as a sideshow to what's actually happening. I spit as much disdain as I possibly can at this entire plot thread. I mean, at least the Norn and their thing has to do directly with a freaking dragon, you know? And the Sylvari, too, actually. Sylvari have to do with Mordramoth, and the Norn have to do with Jormag.
They teleported Jenna and the others. They must have moved them elsewhere.
Uzalon was trying to get past this wall. Look around. Must be a secret lever somewhere.
Whoops, sorry. Also, I'm not impressed with the brickwork these places, too. So no pluses on that front. Frankly, the cave earlier, the catacombs, looked terrible. And this place looks really PSP. Microtransactions, Lord Harriman. Not my acronym, I didn't come up with it. Oh man, Traharan is so amazing. I can't wait to lick his boots. I don't remember when he enters the narrative, actually. It'll be interesting to see when that happens. Traharan's probably one of the better vanilla NPCs.
How are we going to move the big oaf now?
It's not our fault. He grabbed the bottle and drank it in a single swallow. Pour some water on him.
Good hunting.
Ah, Claw Island. Okay. Thought that'll be interesting.
Oh, traveler. Up for a challenge? You must visit more often.
You just talk to the guy who's passed out at the moment. I don't...
Wench, bring more beer.
Oh, it's only you.
I was having a wonderful dream.
I will kill you.
Taking your human queen and the Char up this passage. I'll return to the party and tell the others. Good night.
That's our first champion. Some of you might have just gotten some weekly progress.
I'll see you again.
This is our wall, by the way. Like right about here. I forget the specific encounter, but there was some encounter here we just could not 3-man. We actually pulled in Gary on this, and it was just not happening. They had to have nerfed this, because, good lord, we're just running over everything. I know there's a little bit of power creep in this game, but there's not as much as you'd think. It's kind of like FF14's power creep. You know, you're technically level 50, but... Don't make me get a damage meter going, Giga. I'll do it.
We took the queen further up the valley. I believe they mean to kill her. Lead, and I will follow.
Oh yeah, that's Mia's old actress. I just realized that. Hey, Oculus. Hi, Eitri.
Let her slip her bonds.
Don't worry, she can't keep that shield up forever. The moment she drops it, she'll be ours.
Slay them and their queen.
Yeah, you see that giant cavalcade of yellow up there? That's me.
Your Majesty, I'm so glad we've found you. And you, Logan. I see you've found us as well. It seems we were both on the trail of the same kidnappers.
Caudicus! I knew you were in on this. You were working with the Separatists.
Me? I was a victim here. I had no idea what Uzalan was up to.
You lie! You're under arrest.
Logan, I believe Caudicus is innocent.
Your Majesty, you can't take his side.
Caudicus is guilty of many things, Captain, but he was not responsible here. The Separatists were planning to capture him as well.
Capture? Me? Then I am in your debt for keeping me safe, Your Majesty.
Also, for your own protection, you should stay at my palace. Temporarily, of course. I insist.
There's no... I mean... I'm sure... Certainly, Your Majesty. I would be honored.
Your Majesty! Jenna, are you serious?
Very serious, Captain. I think it best the Minister stays where I can keep an eye on him. For his own safety.
Then I should remain as well, to help keep an eye on him.
No. No need for that. I appreciate your rescue, but you have your own journey. One that leads beyond Divinity's reach.
There are dangers that threaten you here.
There are dangers that face all of us, Logan. All of our world. There are things only you can do.
You're right. So much has been left unfinished. Much to make amends for. I should go.
And I will be waiting for your return.
Woo! Yeah, God, I don't know, Bragwin. Vanilla sucks. Moving on. Yeah, by the way, as a reminder, those two are totes in WoW. In fact, let's just say a whole bunch of really terrible stuff happened because Logan couldn't keep his pants zipped. Let's just put it that way. Moving on. Oculus, you didn't put it towards a third thing, but thank you for the sub. I got it for Dead Space 1 and Tales of Berseria. Yeah, that was the end of the dungeon. Wasn't that great? Wasn't that wonderful? I was looking up the look of voice actors. I don't remember. Primark. I actually don't remember. They pulled in a whole bunch of big names for the launch. Claudia Christian, Ken Clark, Felicia Day, Darren DePaul, Joe DiMaggio, Robert Atkin Downs, Paul Aiding, Gideon Emery is in here, Quentin Flynn, Crispin Freeman, Jennifer Hale, as we just mentioned. I'm trying to list any other. Yuri Lowenthal. They tried to go for a bit of star power. Matt Mercer. He eventually plays as Canuck, by the way. Nolan North, of course. That's, yeah. Liam O'Brien. Sam Riegel. Fred Tedeschiore. Kirk Thornton. Whole bunch of stuff. I'll stop there. Deborah Wilson. She is so good as Jormag. Anyways. Yeah, no, the actors are fine. The direction has problems, as we just described. Don't worry, the direction does get better. I swear this game we always start with the worst. That's our point and purpose. Vermintide 2, you got it. Thank you. And yeah, no, you're right. I am a full buffer. You are a full buffer. You're also doing debuffs, etc. So, that sucked. Hey, you could come back and do more of that dungeon. Isn't that so great? That you could do more of this terrible dungeon? Don't you want to do the dungeon? Look at all this garbage we got in the inventory. This is all trash, by the way. We're just going to put this down there. In fact, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Put this here. Use all. Open that. Use all. Use all. Just get all that crap out of my inventory. Okay. Starting to cap. I got an exotic out of there. Holy crap. Great sword. Oh no, that's the one. Right, that's actually my great sword. Yeah, it's low level trash, so it's all total freaking trash. So I'm just gonna turn into a ghost here. Yep, this is what ghosts look like. Don't question it. No. Put that up there. Get rid of all this crap. Just get that crap out of my inventory. There we go. We're also going to get rid of that. Yes. And that. Yes, I don't care. I don't even think these can give ectos, so nobody cares. Eat some garlic bread. Dump all that. Put that there. Use all those. Use all those. Put this here. And do that. There, boom. Inventory sorted. Stop questioning. Anyways. Yeah, no kidding, Wenlock. Alright. So, when we come back, we will probably not keep doing dungeons, because I want Blade 12 to be able to experience all this, and I think Bragan wants to as well. I'm going to go ahead and get in position for that, though. So the next one is Twilight Arbor. Oh, God. Twilight Arbor. Sorry. What I meant to say was that Twilight Arbor is such a great dungeon, and I love doing it. I love doing Twilight Arbor. I cannot wait to do this dungeon. Anyways, I'll see you guys after the lunch break.